Chapter 261. Ning Xuema was speechless. From the man's words, she could infer that the one who sealed him was not the Dizun. Could there be someone even older than the Dizun? You've never heard of the Dizun? Ning Xuema asked tentatively. Who is he? Should I have heard of him? The man in red asked back. Ning Xuema's heart skipped a beat. The man in red had been sealed here for more than 2,000 years, so he did not know about the famous people in the outside world. In other words, the Dizun did not exist when the man in red walked outside more than 2,000 years ago. So, the Dizun was at most 2,000 years old. Compared to the evildoer in red, he could only be regarded as a rising star. He is the most powerful person in the continent now. He is worshipped as a god by the people of various countries. Ning Xuema explained the Dizun in a few words. The man in red did not care. He smiled and said, I didn't expect you humans to cultivate to the heaven realm. Interesting. I'll go and meet him when I have time. Let's see how many moves this junior can withstand. Ning Xuema coughed. She did not expect to find a strong opponent for the Dizun with just a few words. However, the Dizun had been in a high position for too long. It was often said that it was lonely at the top. Just like Duguqiubai, he could not find an opponent for many years. How lonely must his life be? Now that she had found an opponent for him, maybe it would add some color to his lonely life, and make his life more meaningful. However, what if this evildoer in red was more powerful than the Dizun? This guy looked very gentle, but in fact, he was a cruel and merciless scourge. Would he bring a rain of blood to this world? Then she would have committed a great sin. Who was the one who sealed him away back then? She had never heard of anyone older than the Dizun. Could it be a hermit from somewhere? Ning Xuema felt that there must be many unknown hermits in this world. It was just like the Jianghu that she was familiar with in her time. Some people liked to be high profile and became heroes or gang leaders. There were also people who liked to be low-key and had real martial arts but never showed it in front of others. They were unknown in the Jianghu. For example, the sweeping monk in demigods and semi-devils. Forget it. Things had already developed to this point. It was useless for her to regret. She could only take one step at a time. It's fate that we've conversed for so long. May I know your name? Ning Xuema wanted to find out his name, so that she could go back and check his information. The red-clothed man raised his eyebrows and smiled gently, but his words were poisonous. Little girl, do you think you are qualified to know my name? It was obvious that he did not put Ning Xuema, a little human, in his eyes. Arrogant evildoer. Ning Xuema didn't want to talk nonsense with him anymore. She patted Kiran's shoulder and said, Little apple, let's go up. Then she jumped onto Kiran's back. Leave the Blackwave zither behind. The red-clothed man said coldly. I'll return it to you when we go up. Ning Xuema hugged the zither even tighter. Although the red-clothed evildoer had made a vow, Ning Xuema was still not at ease until she returned to the surface. If she returned the zither now, who knew if he would cause trouble again? Little girl, you're very cautious. I hope you won't regret your decision after you go up. The red-clothed man smiled mysteriously. He crossed his arms and stood to the side, giving way to the passage. Do you want me to send you up, or do you want to go up by yourselves? Chapter 262. Let's go up by ourselves. Kiran interrupted. Now that it had recovered its psychokinesis, it would not take much effort to get out of the cave. Kiran stomped on the ground with its 4 hooves and jumped up 30 to 40 feet high. When it was about to run out of energy, it kicked off the stone wall and jumped up a few more feet. The man in red had no intention of playing tricks. He crossed his arms and said, Be careful. It's okay if you fall to your deaths, but don't break my guqin. What a freak. Ning Xuema wanted to smash the guqin in her arms on his head. She smiled on Kiran's back. Then you must bless us so that we don't fall. If I fall, I will definitely use this guqin as a cushion. Ning Xuema did not expect that she would be ambushed after she escaped from the strange cave safely with Kiran on her back. This ambush was not launched by the red-clothed man, but came from all directions. She and the little Qilin had just landed on the ground, but before they could even stand firm, they heard a whistling sound. Following that, 2 rays of light and a type of magic tool came crashing down on her. Ning Xuema was gobsmacked. Right now, apart from the zither, she didn't have any other weapon that could block the attacks. She could only turn around and hide under the little Qilin's belly, avoiding the attacks of those magic tools. Little Qilin was suddenly attacked and was startled. It reacted quickly and immediately opened its mouth to spit out a green drizzling water wall to protect its body. 2 of those attacking rays and magic tools smashed into the water wall, and the little Qilin dodged the last one with lightning speed. The water wall swayed, and even the little Qilin's body swayed along with it. It was very obvious that the power of those 2 rays of light wasn't small, causing the little Qilin to feel somewhat strained. The water wall shook and disappeared, revealing the figures of a man and a beast. Kirin. Kirin. It's really Kirin. Someone shouted in surprise and disbelief. Following the voice, 3 figures flew over from 3 directions and surrounded Ning Xuema and Kirin. Ning Xuema jumped up from under Kirin's stomach and finally saw the 3 people who ambushed her. Her heart skipped a beat. She recognized one of them. One of them was wearing white clothes and a white skirt. She was beautiful and cold. She was the disciple of Bright Reverence religion, Zhong Rushuang. The other 2 were wearing white robes with bird feathers embroidered on their collars. They were obviously disciples of Bright Reverence religion. These 3 people were 2 men and 1 woman. The man was handsome and free and easy while the woman was as beautiful as a flower. It seemed the rumors were true. Bright Reverence cult and Sun Moon sect were similar. Not only were their disciples' martial arts high, they were also outstanding in appearance. Any one of them would be enough to attract the eye. Zhong Rushuang also recognized Ning Xuema. Her beautiful face changed and she said, "Eldest senior brother, third senior brother, it was this stinky girl who killed our junior brothers and junior sisters. If we hadn't been poisoned by this stinky girl, our junior brothers and junior sisters wouldn't have died under the claws of the flying dragon centipede on the 6th peak." Ning Xuema's heart sank. No wonder she didn't see the other 3 people. They were already dead. She pursed her lips and said in a clear voice, "Zhong Rushuang, you plotted against us first. I had no choice but to poison you. It was just to protect myself. Moreover, the poison only hurt a little and made you unable to recover your strength for 2 hours. It wasn't fatal." Chapter 263. You only need to rest here for 6 hours, and you will be able to recover. I clearly told you this before I left. You didn't do as I said and lost your lives for no reason. What does that have to do with me? Zhong Rushuang said angrily. You little witch, you're talking nonsense. How can you be justified when you poisoned us? If you didn't poison us, why would my 3 junior brothers and sisters suddenly lose their strength during the fight? You lost your strength during the fight because you were poisoned by the flying dragon centipede. Don't blame others for your own incompetence. Ning Xuemo replied bluntly. Her eyes narrowed again. Zhong Rushuang, you're just making up excuses to take revenge, aren't you? Have you forgotten the oath you swore? Zhong Rushuang's expression changed slightly. I didn't want to take revenge on you. Then why are you and your senior brothers stopping me now? You can't be here to catch up, right? Ning Xuema interrupted her coldly. Or have you forgotten the oath you swore? Do you want me to repeat it for you? You've broken the oath. Aren't you afraid that your master will take the oath? Zhong Rushuang was choked by her words. Her face turned green and white. You. Don't talk nonsense. We didn't know you were here. We heard strange noises and came to take a look. We didn't expect a little girl like you to come out of here. She looked at Ning Xuema suspiciously and finally seemed to realize what was wrong. Oh right, where's number 2? How did you come to the 8th peak by yourself? That's impossible. She turned to her 2 senior brothers and said, Senior brother, 3rd senior brother, this little girl is a psychic trash. She has a lot of tricks up her sleeves. How did she appear here? With her martial arts, it's impossible for her to get here. Her senior brother looked to be about 27 or 28 years old. He was handsome and calm, and his bearing was quite calm. He glanced at Ning Xuema and said indifferently, There must be a demon behind this. This little girl is probably a demon. Her 3rd senior brother immediately said, That's right. A trash like her can't possibly come to the 8th peak. He was afraid that she was some kind of demon in disguise. It was possible that she had managed to deceive number 2. Now that number 2 was not by her side, perhaps he had already been killed by her. We righteous sects take it upon ourselves to subdue demons and exterminate devils. Since we've encountered such a monster, we have to exterminate it. Zhong Rushuang's eyes lit up. She snorted coldly at Ning Xiuema. That's right. Since he had seen a demon, how could he not get rid of him? Little demoness, I'm not here to seek revenge from you. I'm here to exterminate the devil and defend the Tao. The 3 of them finally found a reason to get rid of Ning Xiuema, and it was so open and aboveboard. They didn't want to be polite anymore, and each of them took out their weapons. Ning Xiuema lightly clapped her hands, giving them 3 claps. Not bad. That's right. In order to deal with a defenseless little girl, you guys actually put in so much effort, and even came up with such a bunch of nonsensical reasons. It's really been hard on you guys. So the disciples of Bright Reverence religion are only SOSO. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. She turned her eyes and saw that the man in red had already flown up. At this moment, he was leaning lazily against a big rock. There was a hint of a smile on his lips, and he looked like he was watching a show. It was obvious that he didn't want to get involved. She hugged her zither even tighter, then looked at the 3 of them and smiled. Are you guys going to attack together? Or are you guys going to take turns to fight? She had seen Zhong Rushuang's abilities. She should have reached the 8th level of the human realm. Chapter 264. Even if she were to fight Zhong Yu one-on-one, she would not be able to defeat her. Moreover, there were also her 2 senior brothers. Their martial arts were definitely not weak. These 2 dared to bring Zhong Rushuang to the 8th peak. Their psychokinesis was definitely at Earth rank level 3 or 4. They might even be much stronger than Ji Yinhuang. Zhong Yu was even less of a match for them. And Kirin did not seem to have much ability. At most, it could create a water shield or something. She was afraid that it would not be a match for these 3 people. If she wanted to escape safely, she had to find another way. She was not confident, but she did not show it on the surface. She even smiled as if she had a card up her sleeve. The 3 people did not expect her to be so calm in such a situation. She sat on the Kirin's back with a calm demeanor. She looked more like an expert than an expert. That kind of demeanor made the 3 of them shocked. The 3 of them did not think much of Ning Xiuema, who would really take a good-for-nothing as an opponent. Moreover, the other party was a little girl who had not even reached marriageable age yet. They came up with so many excuses just now because they wanted to label Ning Xiuema as a witch so that they could get rid of her openly and snatch the Kirin beside her. In their hearts, they still did not believe that Ning Xiuema had any real ability. Perhaps she was lucky to be able to reach the 8th peak. But now that they saw her full of confidence, they suddenly felt a little uncertain. Perhaps this little girl really did know some kind of witchcraft? Otherwise, why would the divine beast Kirin let her sit on it so obediently? How was it possible for her to come here unscathed? Who was the red-robed man behind her? Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. The 3 of them looked at each other and read the words in this quickly, in each other's eyes. The senior brother sneered. There's no need to pay attention to so much when dealing with evil. You witch look young, but you might be an old monster who has lived for thousands of years. Second brother, Sister Shuang, let's go together. At this moment, the 3 of them had a tacit understanding and thought of the same thing. They looked at each other and immediately made their moves. 3 different colored lights swept towards Ning Xiuema. The 3 of them cooperated very well. One of them attacked Ning Xiuema's lower body. One attacked her chest, and the last one attacked her head. Each ray of light transformed into more than 10 rays of light in the air. As the light flashed, they had already enveloped Ning Xiuema's entire body. Ning Xiuema screamed and swung the zither in her arms to block the balls of light. Damn it! His Guqin. The red-clothed man who had been watching the show cursed in a low voice. His figure flashed and he waved his sleeve. A light golden sword instantly took shape and spun in front of Ning Xiuema like a whirlwind. All the light balls that were approaching Ning Xiuema were shattered into pieces. Damned brat, you ruined my zither. I want your life. The red-clothed man's tone was unkind as he stared at Ning Xiuema's fingers. This brat's 5 fingers were hooked onto the strings of the zither. As long as she exerted a little force, these strings would break. Because he cared too much, he was even more worried and did not dare to snatch the zither. The 3 of them were shocked. Although they had noticed the red-clothed man since a long time ago, it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. As long as the red-clothed man didn't interfere in this dispute, they didn't intend to pay attention to him for the time being. However, they did not expect that the red-clothed man would make a move at the crucial moment. Moreover, his move was so powerful that he broke their combo so easily. Who are you? Why are you helping this witch? The senior brother asked in a low voice. Chapter 265. The red-clothed man was too lazy to pay attention to him. His eyes were fixed on the zither. Stupid girl, this zither is used to play, not as a weapon. It can't withstand any psychokinesis attacks. Take your fingers away. Don't touch the strings, they'll break. Ning Xiuema's mouth twitched. Isn't it the Black Wave zither? It's an ancient artifact. I thought that if I played it casually, it would automatically release a killer move. Bullshit. The red-clothed man cursed in anger. This zither needs a special fingering technique to become a killing weapon. It can kill anyone within 100 li. How could it be as wasteful as you? The Black Wave zither. As soon as these 3 words entered their ears, the eyes of Zhong Rushuang and the others lit up. They could be considered experienced and knowledgeable. Naturally, they knew about this ancient artifact. Their master, Yi Qingwan, had also been looking for the Black Wave zither. They didn't expect that this artifact would appear here. It really didn't take any effort to obtain it. The 6 eyes of the 3 people were also fixed on the zither. They wanted nothing more than to snatch it. Ning Xiuema's eyes turned. So it needs a special fingering technique. Looking at you, you don't know how to play it, right? Naturally, you won't teach it to me. Then this zither is useless to me. She suddenly seemed to notice something. She glanced to the left of the red-clothed man. Her face revealed surprise as she shouted, Zun. Hearing this shout, Zhong Rushuang and the others were all shocked. They all looked to the left of the red-clothed man. Although the red-clothed man wasn't shocked by the title Zun. He had just heard of this title. He knew that he was a powerful person, so he also subconsciously turned his head to look. The moment everyone turned their heads to look, Ning Xiuema laughed. With a wave of her hand, she threw the zither out like a whirlwind. The red-clothed man's ears were alert, and he immediately heard the sound of the zither flying through the air. He abruptly turned his head and saw his treasured zither fly out from his right side, heading straight for Zhong Rushuang's head. Zhong Rushuang was caught off guard. She heard a fierce gust of wind and saw a ball of blue light hurtling towards her. It was too late for her to dodge, so she could only use the sword in her hand to block it. Just as her sword was about to cut into that ball of blue light, a pale golden ball of light suddenly came in and directly collided with her sword light. There was a sound like an explosion. Zhong Rushuang's sword instantly disintegrated into powder. She was also sent flying by the pale golden ball of light. If it wasn't for her eldest senior brother catching her in time, her head would have hit a big rock and turned into a rotten watermelon. After the red-clothed man sent Zhong Rushuang flying with his left palm, he waved his right sleeve. Like a flood dragon sucking in water, it wrapped around the zither. He obviously treasured this zither very much. After his sleeve wrapped around the zither, he shook it a little to dissipate the force of the zither flying out. He didn't want to forcefully pull on the zither and damage its strings. Then he rolled his sleeve back and wrapped the zither in his arms. That 3rd senior brother saw that the object flying out was a zither. He originally wanted to reach out and snatch it, but the red-clothed man was faster than him. Before he could do anything, the zither flew back into the red-clothed man's arms. He couldn't help but stare blankly. On the other side, eldest senior brother had already steadied himself with Zhong Rushuang in his arms. Chapter 266. Zhong Rushuang's face was deathly pale. The arm that used to hold the sword hurt as if it was broken. She couldn't even lift it. She was still in a state of shock. The blood in her chest surged violently. She wanted to speak, but when she opened her mouth, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Although the senior caught Zhong Rushuang, his arms were numb from the shock. He almost couldn't hold his junior sister's delicate body. He took 3 or 4 steps back before he could steady himself. When he saw Zhong Rushuang spit out blood, he was shocked. "Little sister Shuang, are you okay?" I'm fine. Where's that brat?" Zhong Rushuang was almost gnashing her teeth. Only then did the other two remember Ning Xuema, who had caused this series of unforeseen events. They looked around, but there was no trace of that brat. There was no need to ask. Ning Xuema had taken advantage of the moment when they were fighting over the zither and the person. She had taken the opportunity to escape at the most chaotic moment. What a little fox. The man in red naturally also noticed that Ning Xuema had run away. He shook his head. It wasn't clear whether his tone was praise or helplessness. His zither had returned to his arms intact, so he wasn't in a bad mood. There was even a faint smile at the corner of his lips. Although he looked down on humans, he still admired Ning Xuema, who was as cunning as a fox and full of wisdom. What a smart little girl. She actually used such a trick to escape and quietly pulled him, who was just watching the show. And he looked down and carefully examined the zither in his arms. He took out a snow-white silk handkerchief from somewhere and wiped the strings and body of the zither. He wiped it very carefully and meticulously. His expression was focused and serious, as if he was wiping a fragile blue and white porcelain. "Damn it. We actually let that brat run away just like that." Zhong Rushuang stomped her feet. "We'll find her." The senior didn't take it to heart. When Ning Xuema made a move just now, he knew that her martial arts weren't high. She was only at level 2 or 3 of psychokinesis. In his eyes, she wasn't even a rookie. If they wanted to find such a girl in the future, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. Since she had run away, then forget it. They could talk about it later. The most important thing now was this black wave zither. This was their top priority right now. His gaze descended onto the red-clothed man. Through that exchange of blows, he'd already noticed that this man before him wasn't simple at all. He was not someone who could be easily dealt with. However, if the 3 of them joined forces and used their special magic tools, they should have a chance of winning. "Who are you?" Eldest senior brother asked, secretly sending a secret signal to his junior brothers and sisters. The 2 of them understood and quietly moved a few steps, seizing the advantageous terrain. The man's features were elegant. He was clearly dressed in a fiery red robe, but his entire person was as gentle as water. Under the starlight, his temperament was as enchanting as the moonlight. He was still wiping the zither with his head lowered, as if he didn't notice that the 3 of them had already surrounded him. Hearing the question of the eldest senior brother, he didn't even raise his head. "I don't want to tell you." "Why? You don't dare?" Yin Rushuang added. "Because it's useless." The man in red continued to wipe his zither slowly. This argument was quite fresh and also quite choking. Third senior brother sneered. "Why do you say that? A real man doesn't change his name or his surname. What's the point of hiding like this? Could it be that your name is shameful?" Chapter 267. The red-clothed man finally raised his head and smiled gently. Under the starlight, his eyes were gentler than water ripples. "The reason is very simple. Because you are going to die. The dead don't need to know other people's names." The 3 people. They looked at each other, their expressions more alert. The eldest senior brother said coldly, "Your Excellency's words are too harsh. Do you think you can kill us with your own strength? Besides, we have no grievances with your Excellency. Your Excellency's ruthless words are too unreasonable." The red-clothed man's eyes swept over them. "Aren't you surrounding me and talking nonsense because you want to snatch my zither?" He smiled again. "Anyone who wants my zither has only one word. Death. Do you guys understand my explanation?" He stood there, his robe fluttering in the wind. His expression was not like he was talking about life and death, but more like he was talking about the weather. This kind of attitude, this kind of bearing, if one did not have absolute confidence, they would not be able to do it. Although the 3 of them looked young, in terms of actual age, they could be said to be old foxes in the Jianghu. At this moment, Seeing this man's attitude, their hearts were beating wildly. It was as if they saw the Grim Reaper stretching out his butcher's knife. They suddenly regretted. Although the divine weapon was important, their lives were naturally more important. The eldest senior brother knew how to conduct himself and immediately said, "Your Excellency misunderstood. We did not have any extravagant thoughts about this zither." "Oh, then why are you surrounding me?" The red-clothed man seemed to be very easy to talk to. It's like this. We were passing by and heard strange sounds. We were afraid that evil spirits would appear and harm our righteous friends, so we came to take a look. We just happened to see that witch coming out of this cave. Brother, you followed closely behind. We thought you were together, so we wanted to confirm it with you. So this zither is your Excellency's? That's very good. Your Excellency must be a master of music. Coincidentally, my Master Yi of Bright Reverence is also good at music. If you have the opportunity in the future, you may come to our Bright Reverence as a guest. He was obviously showing weakness and wanted to run away. Of course, at the critical moment, he also revealed his master's identity to make this man have some scruples. After all, Yi Qinghuan's reputation of being protective was known by everyone on this continent. Every time they met an expert that they couldn't beat, they would show off their master's name. Usually, the other party would give up, and sometimes even apologize to them. This was like the second generation of some officials, or the third generation of power. It didn't matter if they had real ability or not. The key was that they had a father that others couldn't afford to offend. Flashing it at the right time was still very useful. On this continent, there were not many people who dared to provoke Yi Qinghuan, and even fewer people who did not know her. Unexpectedly, the red-clothed man in front of him was the exception among the exceptions. He glanced at his eldest senior brother, and suddenly smiled. His tone was somewhat serious as he said, "She is not a demoness." Eldest senior brother was stunned. He coughed and subconsciously retorted, "How do you know she's not a demoness? Perhaps you were also deceived by her disguise. She can't fool me." The man in red curled his lips. "Because I'm the demon." It was earth-shattering. The three of them were shocked and retreated a few steps. The man crooked his finger at them and smiled even more gently. "Didn't you want to eliminate evil and protect the Tao? Let's do it together." The three of them. Chapter 268. A faint golden light rose from the ground and engulfed the entire rocky slope in an instant. Kiran ran as if it was flying. It ran through the rugged mountain, as if it was flat ground. In less than an hour, it ran down the 8th peak, the 7th peak and headed towards the 6th peak. "Master, you actually used this method to run away. Didn't you say that when enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous will win?" Kiran didn't understand why Ning Xiuema would run away without a fight. "Little idiot, when enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous will win. When both sides are equal in strength, or when there is no chance to run away, you will fight for a chance. If the difference in strength is too great, then blindly rushing forward is what a boorish man would do. Other than losing your life for no reason, it's useless. As a person, you have to be flexible in order to live longer." Ning Xiuema took the opportunity to teach Kiran. Although Kiran had lived for 2,000 years, no one had ever taught it these survival skills. Now that it heard it, it felt enlightened. It didn't recognize the wrong master. She was still very reliable at crucial moments. Ever since they established the 10-year contract, she could communicate with it telepathically. This was also the main reason why they could cooperate so well in these two dangerous situations. The little Qilan's current strength was several levels higher than Ning Xiuema's, but when it was together with her, it felt an unprecedented sense of security. It was no longer a lonely beast. It felt good to have companions. Kiran ran over a few mountains. Although it was a little tired, it felt warm in its heart. "Master, you really scared me when you threw the zither out. If that red-clothed evildoer couldn't catch it and broke it, I'm afraid that guy would immediately take your life. When I threw it, I calculated the angle and strength. That red-clothed evildoer treasures the zither so much. It's impossible that he couldn't catch it." Ning Xiuema smiled. She was very good at calculating people's minds. She knew that as long as those people knew that the zither was the Blackwave zither, they would definitely be tempted and have the idea of stealing it. They wouldn't chase after her. As for that red-clothed evildoer, because of his oath, he wouldn't harm her unless there were some special circumstances. This move of hers seemed to be extremely dangerous, but she was actually quite confident. She had perfected this plan of diverting the trouble to someone else. She patted Kieran's shoulder. "All right, you can slow down. We don't have to rush back." Calculating the time, she had been out for 4 days. It was also the 5th day since the ancestor came to the imperial palace. The ancestor should have left by now, right? Ji Yinhuang should have been released from the ice palace by now. He should have heard about his imperial father's marriage by now, right? What would he do? Ning Xuema had a good impression of this genius crown prince who had always helped her. Those 3 people are really bad. They actually called you a demonist the moment they saw you. You're clearly a real human, and you don't have any demonic aura at all. I can see that their psychokinesis is not low, but their eyesight is really bad. You can't even tell a human from a demon. It's not that they can't tell. They're just looking for a reason to kill me. They actually took a fancy to you. Ning Xuema patted its shoulder again. A Qilin beast, that was a rarely seen divine beast. Those 3 people being greedy was also within her expectations. They're so bad. I won't follow them. Kieran snorted. It was still a little worried. But since they're greedy now, I'm afraid that they won't let it go. Who knows, they might try to find us in the future. Chapter 269. Ning Xuema's eyelashes curved. Don't worry, they won't make trouble for us again. Ah. The red-clothed evildoer will swiftly finish them off. They won't be able to walk down Tianshu Mountain alive. The red-clothed evildoer does indeed have the strength. But master, how do you know he will kill them? What if he just beat them back? They suffered a loss at the hands of the red-clothed evildoer. I'm afraid they will turn around and make trouble for us. Ning Xuema smiled. Do you think the red-clothed evildoer is a bodhisattva? That guy is very vicious. Once those 3 people have the idea of snatching his zither, it's time for them to die. Besides, he just suffered a loss at our hands, he's in a bad mood, and those people just happened to deliver themselves to his door. Kieran nodded. Master's plan of killing with a borrowed knife was really good. But there was still one thing it did not understand, so it asked. Master, in fact we didn't have to run away. The red-clothed evildoer treasures his zither so much. You only need to threaten him with the zither, he will definitely help you and send those people away. Isn't that safer? Ning Xuema patted Kieran's head. Not simple, little apple. You can actually think of this plan. You're really smart. Praised, Kieran immediately felt proud. Its pair of eyes like crescent moons. Such a smart master is praising it for being smart. But if even it could think of this plan, how could master not think of it? Why is that? It did not want its master to change the topic, so it asked again, indicating that it was not easy to fool. Ning Xuemo rubbed the space between her eyebrows. The reason why she did that was because she knew that the red-clothed evildoer was not someone who could be easily threatened. Even if she used the zither to threaten him, he would have no choice but to make a move. His heart would definitely be indignant, and he would most likely go easy on those people, scaring them away. It would also leave her with a big hidden danger. Taking 10,000 steps back, the red-clothed evildoer, under her coercion, would cleanly destroy those people. The trouble was not over yet. Number 2 had said that Yi Qinghua knew the soul summoning technique, so she would know the cause of her disciple's death and who the enemy was. Then the matter of her coercing the red-clothed evildoer to kill those 3 people would soon be known by Yi Qinghua. With that woman's vengeful heart, she would still be the primary target to be hunted down. It could be said that there would be endless trouble in the future. Now that she had used this method to escape, those 3 people would no longer care about her. She was killed by the red-clothed evildoer purely because she wanted to snatch the zither for her master. If Yi Qinghua wanted to take revenge, she would first look for the red-clothed evildoer. This method was rather dark and not too bright. Ning Xuema felt that the little Qilin was still a pure and innocent little Qilin. It was better not to let it understand this kind of immoral method. So she patted Kieran's big head and said, I didn't think of it at the time, so I used a more complicated method. My Kieran is still the smartest. Come on, work hard. Kieran had rarely been praised in his life, and now he was in high spirits again. Master, do you think the pervert in red will chase after us? Kieran was more afraid of him. Don't worry, he won't. He swore not to hurt us, he won't go back on his words. Kieran was slightly relieved, then suddenly remembered something. That's right, Master. The people in this world usually make an oath in front of the gods. An oath has a strong restrictive effect on people or immortals, but it has no effect on demons. Demons can only swear in front of the demon ancestor. That red-clothed evildoer is not an immortal, right? When he swore, was it in front of the gods or the demon ancestor? Chapter 270. Ning Xuema's expression changed slightly. When that guy swore, his first few words were, I swear before God. If he practiced the devil path, this oath would be useless to him. Little thing, why didn't you say so earlier? Ning Xuema felt a headache coming on. I was locked up for too long, so I forgot. Perhaps after 1,000 years, the pattern of oaths had changed. No matter if it was an immortal or a demon, an oath was binding. Yes, it must be so. Otherwise, that red-clothed pervert would have found trouble with her long ago, and wouldn't have let her go so easily. She felt a faint chill on her back, so she asked Kieran to walk faster. She'd better go back to Marquis Jingyuan's mansion first. She had drifted outside for several days, and had been on the brink of death several times. She somewhat missed the big bed and delicious food in the mansion. The pale golden light surged like a tide, and everything in its path turned into powder. Zhong Rushuang and the other two tried their best to dodge, but they couldn't. A moment later, the three of them were trapped in the pale golden light. At the most critical moment, eldest senior brother opened the most precious treasure of the sect, the Great Wisdom Barrier. According to legend, this was something invented by the venerable sovereign, and was a magic treasure for the disciples to protect themselves. Yi Qingwan had made one under the venerable sovereign's personal guidance, and it could be considered a master-disciple collaboration. It had a very important meaning to Yi Qingwan, so she had always kept it by her side, and the disciples couldn't even touch it. And the one that eldest senior brother was opening now was made under Yi Qingwan's guidance. Although its effect wasn't as good as the one Yi Qingwan kept, because it had half of Yi Qingwan's magic power, its effect couldn't be underestimated. When this barrier was opened, it could protect one's own people from all external harm. Eldest senior brother had taken many risks in his life, and in the most critical moments, this great wisdom barrier had saved his life several times. Because using this thing would consume a lot of psychokinesis, he wouldn't use it easily, but now he had no other choice. This great wisdom barrier's appearance was a transparent sphere, and the three of them were now protected inside it. The pale golden light outside submerged the whole sphere, and the rustling sound was like silkworms chewing mulberry leaves. Countless large stones were silently shattered in front of their eyes, and turned into flying dust. The power of this move released by the red-clothed man was really too great. It was simply unimaginable to them. The three of them shrunk into the cover and shivered. They finally understood that they had indeed provoked someone they shouldn't have. This person wasn't someone they could afford to provoke. Hey, your tortoise shell is not bad. The red-clothed man curiously stretched out his hand and lightly patted the ball. His hands were slender and perfect, like ivory carvings. When he patted, he seemed to be patting casually. But just this one hit caused the great wisdom barrier to bounce a few times in the faint golden light, letting out an ear-piercing sound. It became thinner bit by bit, like a soap bubble, about to burst at any moment. The faces of Zhong Rushuang and the other two changed drastically. Under the shadow of death, Zhong Rushuang finally collapsed. She screamed from inside, shouting out her life-saving magic weapon that had worked every single time. You can't kill us. You won't have a good ending if you kill us. My master knows the soul summoning technique. If you kill our physical bodies, my master will summon our souls for questioning. Once she finds out that you are the murderer, you will be in big trouble. My master will avenge us and teach you a lesson that will make you wish you were dead. Chapter 271. Who knew how many bright reverend school disciples had said such words to intimidate? But this time, in front of this red-clothed man, it was clearly ineffective. A hint of rumination flashed past his eyes. He reached out a hand and patted that great wisdom barrier that was about to shatter. Hearing you all say this, woo, I'm actually a bit looking forward to your master's revenge. Originally, I even wanted to scatter your souls together, so as to prevent you all from being an eyesore like flies. But now it seems that no matter what, I have to leave one of your souls alive, or else no one will be able to report to your master. Oh, which one should I leave alive? His expression was like he was picking a chicken in a chicken coop. Zhong Rushuang and the other two's faces could no longer be described as deathly white. They were completely devoid of color. It turned out that there were people in this world who weren't afraid of their master. My father is Li Gang, had run into a ********, and he didn't buy it at all. The red-clothed man treated them the same way he treated Ning Xiuema and the little Qilin. He also gave the three of them a choice. Out of the three of them, only one of their souls could be left behind. However, they could decide who to leave behind. In other words, he supported the three's internal strife, and the one who won and survived would be the lucky one. His multiple-choice question made the three brothers and sisters who had originally shared life and death, and worked together to fight against the outside world, instantly become enemies who wanted each other dead. Each of them used their own unique skills. The third brother was the first to be killed by the eldest brother, and his body was kicked out of the Great Wisdom Barrier. This Great Wisdom Barrier was indeed a strange treasure. It was easy to leave, but difficult to enter. As soon as the third brother's body was kicked out, it immediately melted in the faint golden light, not even leaving behind a bone. Eldest brother. Zhong Rushuang's expression was mournful, and her eyes were filled with tears. I know you've always liked me, and you loved me the most among all the brothers and sisters. You once played the flute under my window for an entire night, and you said you would go through water and tread on fire for me without hesitation. The eldest brother seemed to be moved, and the hand holding the sword slowly lowered. Yes, I've always liked you. But you refused to respond to me. Eldest senior brother, it's not that I don't want to respond to you. It's just that my telekinesis has yet to break through to the earth rank. I'm ashamed and afraid that I'm not good enough for you. Actually, I've always liked eldest senior brother. Zhong Rushuang stared at the tip of his sword, and her voice became even more sorrowful. Do you have any proof? Eldest senior brother seemed to be in disbelief. Evidence. Zhong Rushuang smiled bitterly. Do you need evidence to like someone? You're saying this at a time like this, because you want me to give you the chance to live. Sister Shuang, do you really think I'm stupid? Eldest senior brother, you're wrong. In order to prove my feelings, I've decided to give you this one and only chance. Eldest senior brother, you take care. The tears in Zhong Rushuang's eyes finally rolled down. A crying beauty was always pitiful, not to mention that she was his sweetheart. Eldest senior brother couldn't help but step forward. Little sister Shuang. Zhong Rushuang looked at him with tears in her eyes. Eldest senior brother, I just want you to know how I feel. I'm afraid that if I don't say it now, I won't have another chance. I understand. Little sister Shuang. I'm sorry. Don't say sorry, eldest senior brother. Your telekinesis has already broken through to the Earth rank level 6. Your survival is more useful than ours. Rushuang only has one request now. What request? Tell me. Chapter 272. Eldest brother, can you give me a hug? That way, even if I die, I can smile in the underworld. Okay. The eldest brother opened his arms, waiting for the final hug. Zhong Rushuang cried out and threw herself into his arms. Eldest brother. A pair of lovers tightly hugged each other in the moment of life and death. Then their bodies suddenly trembled. The tip of a sword protruded from their backs, close to their hearts. It turned out that they had taken advantage of this moment to plot against each other and deliver a fatal blow to each other. At the same time, the two people's bodies shook, and at the same time, they reached out with their palms, desperately slapping each other away. The eldest brother's martial arts were clearly much higher than Zhong Rushuang's. His palm directly slapped Zhong Rushuang out of the Great Wisdom Barrier. Zhong Rushuang didn't even have time to cry out before her whole body disappeared in the faint golden light. Zhong Rushuang's sword was stuck in the eldest brother's chest. Because he had dodged at the most critical moment, Zhong Rushuang's sword didn't directly pierce his heart. He wouldn't die for a while. He staggered back a step and sat down with a thump. "Slut! You lied to me." The red-clothed man stood not far away, watching this good show of killing each other. A trace of disgust flashed through his eyes. In the face of life and death, love and friendship often couldn't withstand the test. They couldn't even withstand a single blow. Their souls have already been scattered, right? The eldest brother gasped for breath like an ox. Now he was the only one who survived. If his master knew that he had killed his junior brothers and sisters, he wouldn't let him off. However, this red-clothed demon said that the other two souls would be scattered. That way, his master would never know the truth. He could also cry and complain to his master. Maybe he could reincarnate into a good body. Therefore, the souls of those two people must be scattered. The man in red crossed his arms and looked at him. He didn't answer his question. Suddenly he smiled and said, "You really are the most vicious and merciless person. No wonder you can live for so long." He changed the topic and said, "Actually, the three of you don't have to die. My martial arts haven't fully recovered. Sending out this golden light is already an arrow at the end of its flight. As long as you work together to support this tortoise shell for a quarter of an hour, I won't be able to do anything to you." As he spoke, the faint golden light surrounding the Great Wisdom Barrier finally completely dissipated, and not a trace of it could be seen. Eldest senior brother. His hand that was holding the sword began to tremble. He wanted to stand up, but he was also heavily injured. At this moment, he could only force himself not to faint. He couldn't do anything else. The Great Wisdom Barrier was originally supported by his telekinesis. At this moment, he was already at the end of his road. Naturally, the Great Wisdom Barrier could no longer support him, and shattered with a bang. Eldest senior brother lay there like a dead dog, gasping for breath. The red-clothed man's expression became even more joyful. "Are you regretting it? Can't wait to tear me to shreds?" Eldest senior brother could not answer a single word. What was the use of regretting now? There would be no turning back. He panted even harder, and blood began to seep out of the corner of his lips. The red-clothed man slowly walked forward, and made a hand gesture to eldest senior brother. Eldest senior brother's body trembled. His arm did not listen to him, and the sword in his hand slowly moved towards his own neck. He wanted to struggle, but he didn't have the strength to do so. Seeing the gleaming sword edge getting closer and closer to his neck, all the hair on his body stood on end. He desperately shouted, You said you would let me go." Chapter 273. Ah yes, I did say that I would leave your soul behind to inform your master, and let your master find me for revenge. The red-clothed man nodded. His voice was still elegant. He turned his head and looked at him. "Will you inform your master?" Did this red-clothed demon want him to inform his master or not? He said that he was already an arrow at the end of its flight. If that was the case, he should not be his master's opponent. The eldest senior brother was at a loss and hesitated for a moment. Is this not easy to answer? The red-clothed man was a little unhappy. If you let me go and spare my life, I swear that I will not report today's matter to my master." The eldest senior brother took the opportunity to make a request. "Then wouldn't your junior brothers and sisters have died in vain? If your master asks, how are you going to answer?" The red-clothed man's eyes were shining. I will say that they died under the claws of the magical beasts on the 9th peak. This is not a good lie. No matter how powerful the magical beasts on the 9th peak are, they will only kill them at most. They will not make their souls scatter. Think of a better one. The red-clothed man was not satisfied with this reason. The eldest senior brother had to think desperately. Finally, he thought of a reliable one. "I will say that they died in the hands of the Wind and Cloud Sect's sect leader." The Wind and Cloud Sect's sect leader had always been at odds with their Bright Reverence school. That sect leader also had the ability to make people's souls scatter. The red-clothed man laughed. Very good. Say it like that. He pressed his hand down fiercely. The sword in the eldest senior brother's hand directly pierced his own neck. Blood spurted out wildly. His eyes suddenly widened, and his body slowly fell down. The red-clothed man raised his hand and gently blew on it. He was afraid that today's matter would set off a reign of terror on the continent. In the future, it seemed that it would not be so boring. He lowered his eyes and looked at the zither in his arms. Suddenly, he faintly sighed and gently wiped it again. With Kirin, the king of beasts, by her side, Ning Xuema went down the mountain very smoothly. All the magical beasts that smelled Kirin's scent fled at the sight of her. Therefore, she did not encounter any magical beasts on the way. She worked hard for half the night and finally reached the third peak at dawn. The magical beasts on the third peak were obviously much weaker. There were already gentle animals like the magical rabbit. There were many disciples from various sects who came here to train and level up. Ning Xuema had also encountered a few waves. She didn't want to have any contact with these people, but Kirin's figure was too eye-catching. No matter which group of people came into contact with him, they would scream, "Kirin! Heavens, that's a Qilin!" Then a large group of people chased after her. Little Qilin's speed was much faster than these people, leaving them far behind. However, the Qilin beast was an extremely rare divine beast. Since these people had seen it, how could they give it up so easily? They used all kinds of magic treasures to track him down, persevering like sticky candy. Moreover, they would also call their friends and inform their friends in the mountains to surround and intercept them. Moreover, there were quite a number of people who came to the third peak to train. She had just shaken off one group when she encountered another. In less than half an hour, she had already been chased by 5 groups of people. There was a long trail of people behind her like ants. Seeing that there were people who came to intercept her at every intersection, Ning Xuema knew that she could not run anymore. She had to face them. She patted Kirin's head and signaled for him to stop. Kirin had not been chased by people for more than 1,000 years. He was a little panicked. "Master, what are they doing? I already have a master. Why are they still chasing me?" Chapter 274. Why? It was nothing more than curiosity and greed. The corner of Ning Xuema's lips lightly hooked up. "How did you deal with the embarrassing situation of being chased?" Kirin has been wandering outside for thousands of years, so he must have encountered many situations like this. The little Qilin paused for a moment. I summoned other magical beasts to block it for me." Ning Xuema's eyes lit up. It turned out that Kirin had the ability to summon other magical beasts. "Little apple, listen to my instructions later." Ning Xuema quickly told Kirin how to escape later. Kirin nodded repeatedly. It also told Ning Xuema about its misgivings. Their Qilin clan's summoned beasts' ranks were directly proportional to their psychokinesis. Right now it was still a cub, so its psychokinesis wasn't that high. Therefore, it could only summon beasts that were rank 6 and below. Beasts that were rank 6 and above would at most run away when they saw it, and wouldn't listen to its summons. Ning Xuema understood. However, it was enough to summon a few magical beasts below level 6 in this place. In this short moment of delay, people from all walks of life had already caught up to them. There were more than 100 people rushing up one after another. Strange, why are there so many people in the mountain today? No wonder there is a treasure light in this mountain. It is the Kirin beast. Yes, we did not come in vain. Speaking of which, it has been a long time since a Kirin beast appeared on this continent. Where did this one come from? There is a little girl riding on the back of this Kirin beast. Who is this little girl? Is she a fairy or a demon? This Kirin beast has a master. In the blink of an eye, these people had surrounded Ning Xuema, and were discussing her without any restraint. Ning Xuema glanced at these people's clothes. Obviously, they were from different sections. There were men and women, tall and short, fat and thin. Ning Xuema had done quite a bit of homework in the Marquis's mansion over the past few days. She had researched the heritage of the various great sects on the continent and so on. Although it was the first time she had seen many of these people's clothes, she was not unfamiliar with them. Tempest sect, Limitless sect, 7 Stars sect, Boundless sect. There were disciples from 8 to 9 different sects, big and small. However, he didn't see any disciples of the Sun-Moon sect. These people were all staring at Kiran, and the light in their eyes couldn't be concealed even if they wanted to. There was no one who didn't want to hunt an eye-catching pet. It would be dazzling and could help them level up. However, the spirit beasts in this world were not that easy to tame. To tame a spirit beast, there were 2 conditions. First, it had to have spiritual intelligence and be able to communicate with its master. Secondly, people who want to subdue spirit beasts need to learn a kind of pet summoning technique. This kind of technique can't be learned without rank 6 human rank or above. Not every spirit beast that had spiritual intelligence could be tamed. Most of the spirit beasts were arrogant, close to demons. Naturally, they were not willing to be controlled by people. Even if they were captured, they would rather be beaten to death than recognize a master. Therefore, if one wanted to tame them, it was impossible to rely on force alone. These spirit beasts must be truly convinced. Only then could they be used by people. Because of the harsh conditions of taming spirit beasts, although there were many magical beasts and spirit beasts on this continent, there were very few who could really tame them. As for the Kiran, it was originally an extremely rare existence. It would not appear for hundreds of years, so no one had ever tamed it. It was said that the continent's number 1 ancestor also had several spirit beasts, but there was no Kiran among them. Chapter 275. Now that one had finally appeared, it was being ridden by a little girl who didn't even look 12 or 13 years old. And from the looks of it, Kiran was quite obedient. What was this little girl's background? How did she do it? Countless people had the same question in their hearts. Their gazes towards Ning Xiuema were filled with envy, jealousy, and confusion. Ning Xiuema sat carefreely on Kiran's back. Under the countless gazes, her expression didn't show the slightest bit of uneasiness. She was very calm and at ease. She had already guessed most of these people's identities, and was a little surprised. She thought that these disciples of various sects who appeared on the 3rd peak wouldn't be of high status, and were most likely new disciples. However, after she swept her eyes over their clothes without batting an eyelid, she realized that there were actually high-ranking people like Commander and Hall Master among them. Their positions in the sects were high, so their martial arts were naturally high as well. Their psychokinesis was at least of human level 7. With her current martial arts, she wouldn't be able to defeat even one of them if she were to fight them head-on. Moreover, there were 17 or 18 of them now. In addition to the other small fries, she definitely wouldn't be able to escape if she didn't use any special methods. Treasures moved people's hearts. Once treasures were involved, even fellow disciples of the same sect might curse each other to death. Moreover, she didn't have any relationship with these people. She didn't even know them. If they were to attack her, they would have no qualms. The reason why they hadn't made a move yet was because they hadn't figured out her background yet. In addition, the others were eyeing her covetously. No one wanted to be the first to test her limits. The situation now looked peaceful, but it was actually very dangerous. If Ning Xiuema didn't handle it well, she would probably be surrounded and attacked immediately. Although Kiran could summon 6th-level magical beasts, this was the 3rd peak. The highest-level magical beasts here were 4th level, while the rest were on other peaks. Distant water couldn't quench a present thirst. She would probably have to go through a lot of trouble if she wanted to escape safely. "Little girl, which sect are you from?" Someone finally spoke. The white robe Ning Xiuema was wearing was given to her by Jiuzun. Although the material was excellent, there wasn't any symbol of a sect in the style, so they couldn't guess her identity. Her expression was too calm and her posture too relaxed. Even the experienced martial artists with a pair of sharp eyes couldn't see what was wrong with her expression. Only the truly strong would have such an aura. This little girl's face looked unfamiliar. Perhaps she was some hidden expert? Otherwise, how could she tame Kiran? Ning Xiuema's gazes tssssss and hers zzzzz. She's halves ssssss, ssssss halves it cest. As those people were already wary of her. Now that they saw her like this, they didn't dare to act rashly. The person who asked the question was a hall master of the fragrant hall of the Seven Stars sect. He was intimidated by Ning Xiuma's powerful aura, so his tone became respectful instead. Yesterday, in the middle of the night, this mountain suddenly emitted a brilliance, illuminating the entire place. Our sect leader specially ordered us to come to this mountain to investigate, but unexpectedly, we met Your Excellency here. May I know who Your Excellency is? Did you just tame this Qilin beast? Ning Xiuma glanced at him again, her voice even colder. Are you going to interrogate me? Chapter 276. Her gaze was extremely sharp and her aura was as oppressive as the sea. That Xiangzhu felt a chill in his heart, and could not help but take a step back. I don't dare. I know you don't dare either. Ning Xiuma's tone was cold. Benzin still has matters to attend to. I won't keep you company. She urged Kirin underneath her. Kirin understood and walked towards that Xiangzhu in large strides. It was obvious that it wanted to let him pass. Her aura was too strong right now. Nobody could figure out her depth, so nobody dared to stop her. Wherever she went, they all got out of her way. That Xiangzhu was also stunned by her. Seeing her walking towards him, he could not help but move to the side to open up a path. Ning Xiuma slowly walked past him. A faint fragrance was emitted from the young girl's body, intoxicating and mysterious. That Xiangzhu lowered his head and bowed. His expression did not change, but in the end he was not reconciled. He wanted to test Ning Xiuma's depth. After Ning Xiuma passed by, he suddenly made his move. He raised his hand and a jet-black brilliance attacked Ning Xiuma's back. Ning Xiuma did not seem to notice. Seeing that jet-black brilliance was about to reach her back, her figure flashed and suddenly disappeared. That Xiangzhu was startled. He suddenly felt dizzy. He staggered and fell to the ground with a put-ong sound. Everybody was originally watching every move that was happening here closely. Ning Xiuma's every movement was seen by them. There were so many people present, but not a single person saw her figure clearly. They only saw a faint shadow flashing around that Xiangzhu. That Xiangzhu fell to the ground with a put-ong sound. By the time everybody came back to their senses, Ning Xiuma had already returned to Kirin's back. She continued to move forward without even looking back. Everybody was speechless. What a fast speed. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was like thunder and lightning. Just based on this kind of movement, it was enough to prove that this girl was a top expert. That Xiangzhu could be considered a well-known character on this continent. Unexpectedly, he did not even make a move before he fell to the ground. Nobody even saw how she made her move. What did this mean? An expert. An absolute expert. When did such an expert appear on this continent? They didn't even know about it. Ning Xiuma didn't look back, but she knew that she had shocked everyone. They no longer dared to act recklessly. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. She continued to walk at a leisurely pace. Incense Master, Incense Master. The disciples of the Incense Master looked at their Incense Master in panic. The Incense Master's eyes were tightly shut and his face was pale gold. His body was twitching as if he was in extreme pain. His disciples pinched his philtrum and tried all kinds of first aid, but to no avail. Everybody gathered around him, but they could not see anything. The disciples had already tested him with silver needles, but this Xiangzhu did not look like he was poisoned. Instead, he looked like he was hit by some kind of unique skill. Seeing that the Incense Master was twitching even more violently, one of the disciples was enlightened. He suddenly knelt down in front of Ning Xiuma's back. Just now, our Incense Master only wanted to test your skills. He did not have any evil intentions. We hope that Your Excellency will be magnanimous enough to forgive our Incense Master's mistake and save his life. He kowtowed repeatedly. Kirin, who was slowly moving forward, paused for a moment. Ning Xiuma's voice was indifferent and cold. If he really had evil intentions, how could he still be so angry? Forget it. Seeing that you are from a prestigious and upright sect, I will spare him this time. There will be no next time. She flicked her finger, and a pale white pill flew into the disciple's hand. Give it to him. Chapter 277. The disciple was overjoyed. He did not dare to delay, and quickly gave the incense master the medicine. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Ning Xiuma's back. Although they were unwilling, they did not dare to make any moves. However, they were unwilling to let her go like this. Ning Xiuma gently patted Kiran's horn. Kiran understood and raised its head to let out a long whistle. The whistle was clear and loud and spread far away. In a moment, all kinds of beasts roared in the surrounding forest. The trees crackled and countless beasts rushed over. Everyone was shocked. Although the level of these beasts was not high, there were many of them. Moreover, there were many kinds of beasts. Among them, there was no lack of man-eating beasts. Although there were some experts among these people, most of them were newcomers. Encountering this kind of beast tide, they were afraid that the newcomers would have an accident. Therefore, the experts of the various sects no longer cared about Ning Xiuma. They gathered the new disciples together so that it would be easier to protect them. The scene was a bit chaotic. Everyone was facing a great enemy. What they did not expect was that these beasts did not have any intention to attack them. Instead, they just clustered behind Ning Xiuma as if they were protecting her. This scene was too shocking. Everyone held their breaths as they watched the scene unfold before them. Ning Xiuma's petite figure was like a queen surrounded by the beasts. She slowly went away in front of everyone's eyes. Who is this person? I can't tell. She is dressed in white, and she is a child. Could she be the ancestor's servant? No, it can't be. I have seen the ancestor's servant's clothes. They are not like this. Then could she be from Bright Reverence? They teach techniques to retain one's youthful appearance. This girl may not be young. Everyone was talking about it. They were desperately trying to guess Ning Xiuma's identity. However, they could not figure it out. No one had the courage to chase after her. Gee! Not far away, a chuckle suddenly came. A bunch of trash. The voice was as elegant as the sound of a zither. Everyone was startled. They raised their heads and looked towards the source of the voice. Then they were all stunned. On a big tree not far away, there was a red-clothed, black-haired man. Under the starlight, his face was as delicate and elegant as a fairy's. His black hair and red robes fluttered in the breeze. There was a hint of enchanting in his gentleness, and there was a hint of wickedness in his enchanting. Like a gorgeous tune, it slowly unfolded in the night. He stepped on a tree branch that was not even as thick as his little finger, as if he was going to ride the wind in the night. There were so many people present, but no one knew when he had arrived. Without a doubt, this person was an expert. And it was the top-notch kind. The crowd did not know if they were lucky or unlucky. Within a single day, they had met two experts on the third peak of the Heavenly Book Mountain. Moreover, they had never seen them before. Who are you? What was the meaning of that mocking sentence just now? There is no lack of proud and arrogant men among these people. After being humiliated like this, they naturally have to ask. If it weren't for the fact that the red-clothed man looked refined and elegant, he would have scolded him on the spot. The red-clothed man smiled. His elegant smile slowly bloomed in the night. You were actually scared by a trash little girl. If you are not trash, then what are you? Everyone. Nonsense. How can she be trash? She was able to subdue the Qilin beast, defeat Incense Lord Chung in one move, and summon 100 beasts to protect her. How can she be trash? Your words should be more reliable. Chapter 278. Yes, she is obviously a hidden master. Her movements are so fast. If she doesn't have an extremely high psychokinesis, it is impossible for her to have such good kung fu. Everyone refuted. You can choose not to believe me. The man's elegant face smiled like a spring breeze. Just don't regret it. He leaped up and disappeared from the tree. Everyone was speechless. Kiran's temptation was too great. If that girl was really a good-for-nothing, they would be scared off by her words. Everyone looked at each other. After a while, a group of people chased after Ning Xiuma. Naturally, the others did not want to fall behind. They were afraid that someone else would take the initiative, so they all chased after her. The large open space was once again deserted and cheerless. The man in red slowly appeared on the tree branch. He rubbed his chin with his jade-like hand and looked in the direction Ning Xiaoma had gone. Little girl, you have to pay the price for scheming against me. How would she deal with the crisis this time? His pair of dark green eyes flashed with anticipation. At this moment, Ning Xiaoma rode Kiran over the third peak and headed to the second peak. Master, you are so cool. Kiran was excited when she recalled the scene just now. You defeated that old man with one move. How did you do it? Ning Xiaoma was silent for a moment. Cough, I poisoned him just now. Ah, you didn't do it? Ning Xiaoma coughed again and said honestly, if we really fought, I couldn't defeat him. Kiran. But he didn't look like he was poisoned. I saw that they also tested it with silver needles. If it was a poison that could be detected by anyone, how could I scare them off? Ning Xiaoma smiled and patted Kiran's head. The move I used just now has a phrase in Sun Tzu's Art of War. It is called the empty fort strategy. Sun Tzu's Art of War? If Sun Tzu's Art of War is so powerful, then my Art of War must be even more powerful. Master, you should use my Art of War. Although Kiran did not understand half of it, he still suggested excitedly. The corners of Ning Xiaoma's eyes twitched. I've never written about the Art of War. He only wrote about the Tao Te Ching. Sun Tzu is an honorific. That person was actually called Sun Wu. Ning Xiaoma began to teach Kiran about the history of her era. The situation just now was extremely dangerous. First, she used her unfathomable and lofty aura to suppress them, and then when she passed by that Xiangzhu, she released a kind of poisonous powder. This kind of poisonous powder had a serene and elegant aroma. If one only smelled this kind of powder, it would not be poisonous. It was harmless to the human body. After that, she took advantage of the time when the incense master was about to make a move. She used her peerless qing gong and her strange footwork to fly in front of the incense master. Then in a flash she used another kind of poison on him. When the two poisons were combined, the poison immediately took effect. It knocked down that arrogant incense master and successfully shocked everyone. Then, she let Kiran summon all kinds of fierce beasts to protect her. She appeared even more mysterious and inviolable, making everyone lose the courage to chase after her. To put it bluntly, she had relied on her disgusting poison skills, top-notch qing gong, and unique footwork to create an extremely powerful illusion. She had managed to scare everyone so that she could get out of this predicament. It was similar to Zhuge Liang's empty fort strategy. At that time, she did not show it on her face, but her palms were sweating because of nervousness. Now her inner force was quite strong, but her psychokinesis was still ordinary. She could only use her qing gong. If she did not use this method, she would not have been able to escape today. Chapter 279. She was dealing with a group of people, but it was much more dangerous than dealing with a group of ferocious beasts. Fortunately, she was finally out of danger. As long as she was given another 2 hours, she would be able to return to her Marquis Jingyuan's mansion, eat the delicious food prepared by the chef, climb into her own big soft bed, and have a good night's sleep. She believed that this time, all of her servants would definitely be present. This adventure could be considered to have come to a successful end. Her eyelashes curved slightly, and just as she was about to smile, she suddenly sensed something and her expression changed. Someone is chasing after us. Kiran was stunned. How do you know? It did not even hear the cries of the birds in the surrounding forest. Be careful underground. Ning Xiaoma shouted softly. Before her voice died away, rows of sharp stone spikes suddenly stood up from the ground that was full of fallen leaves. At the same time, countless green leaves flew towards the woman and the beast like green arrows. Ning Xiaoma's upper and lower paths were sealed in an instant. Ning Xiaoma did not have any weapons in her hands, but fortunately, she was playing with a branch. Seeing that the situation was not good, she waved the branch in her palm. Kiran let out a long howl, opened its mouth, and a blue wave swept across the ground. Wherever the blue wave passed, the sharp stone spikes were broken into pieces and turned into powder. Although Ning Xiaoma used all her strength to sweep away the flying leaves, the force contained in the leaves was too great. Obviously, it was sent by a master. Ning Xuema's arm was shaken until it was numb and painful. The branch that was as thick as a thumb was cut into a small section. The back of her hand was also cut by a leaf, and there was a bloody wound. Blood was flowing out. Ha ha ha, you were just bluffing. This old man almost fell for your trick. A group of people who seemed to have rushed over from the ground came out from the soft ground and landed in front of Ning Xuema. Yes, we were all fooled. This little girl is just SOSO. A group of people also flew down from the surrounding trees. Her psychokinesis is at most level 3. Her footwork is a little strange, but there is nothing else. Another group of people came out from behind the mountain rocks. Groups after groups of people came out with all kinds of tricks, surrounding Ning Xuema in the middle like an iron bucket. Suddenly, Ning Xuema couldn't escape. How can such a person be the Qilin master? That's right. She must have gotten lucky and tricked Kirin. Little girl, who are you? I shouldn't have deceived so many seniors. If you know what's good for you, then hand over Kirin. A divine beast should be owned by someone with talent and virtue. Not bad, not bad. It's a waste for a little girl like you to have it. Everyone was shouting and yelling. They all wanted Ning Xuema to hand over the Kirin. Ning Xuema took a deep breath. Just as she was about to speak, she suddenly heard the sound of wings flapping above her head. A cold and crisp voice sounded faintly. How is her psychokinesis low? She's just a psychokinesis trash. Ning Xuema, so this is where you are. Ning Xuema raised her eyebrows and looked up. A red-crowned crane flew over at a low altitude. Before it landed, a young girl jumped down from the crane and landed on the ground. She had phoenix eyes, cherry lips, and the majesty of the imperial family in her coldness. It was the princess of vast sky empire, Ji Yunyao. Ji Yunyao was a high-profile person. She was a noble princess and the disciple of the Storm sect master. Most of the people here knew her. Those who knew her greeted her one after another. The disciples of the Storm sect even went forward to greet her. Chapter 280. Although these sects were usually not under the control of the imperial family, all under the heavens belonged to the imperial family. The sects in Chongkong country naturally did not want to offend the imperial family, but the sects from other countries naturally had some misgivings in other people's territory, so they still gave face to this princess. Even if they did not like her, they still kept a respectful distance and tried their best not to provoke her. When Ji Yunyao arrived, she exposed Ning Xuema's identity, so everyone naturally asked about it. Ji Yunyao was naturally happy to dispel everyone's doubts, so she said with disdain, "She's that super trash miss from Marquis Jingyuan's estate. She doesn't even have a bit of psychokinesis." Because it was hard for a real trash to appear on this continent, Ning Xuema's super trash reputation was very widespread. Almost everyone present had heard of her. Of course, she was recently locked in an iron cage. Her engagement with the 6th prince was annulled, and Lu Hinti proposed marriage, but she was kidnapped. These matters were also spread all over the city. These people had recently been active in Chongkong country, so they naturally heard about these matters. There were all kinds of pleasant to hear and unpleasant to hear. When these people heard it at that time, they only treated it as a kind of after-dinner entertainment. They didn't expect that the little lass who rode on the little Qilin and almost coaxed them into running around in circles was actually the continent's #1 trash. My imperial father originally took special care of her for the sake of the dead Marquis Ning. Seeing that she was pitiful, he did not care about her bad reputation, and wanted to take her as his concubine. Who would have thought that she actually did not know what was good for her and ran here? Ji Yunyao continued to gossip, her eyes flashing with resentment. Wasn't she kidnapped? Someone questioned. Look at her appearance and the clothes she's wearing now. It's obvious that she eloped with someone. This robe is a man's robe. That's right, that's right. She must have eloped with her adulterer. Aya, she doesn't seem to be wearing pants. It's indecent. It's indecent. Someone yelled. Although Ning Xuema was wearing a robe, she only wore a pair of briefs inside. She was also riding on Kirin's back, so the robe was slightly flipped up, revealing her white calf. When people saw it, they immediately called it out as evidence. Too shameless. So embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed for her. All kinds of discussions were like a basin of dirty water, splashing Ning Xiuema without any scruples. Countless gazes fell on Ning Xiuema. Their gazes were filled with disdain as they commented on her. Most of the people who made these comments were girls. After all, when Ning Xiuema rode on the little Qilin, she was in the limelight. That cool appearance of hers had subdued many people, making her the focus of attention. Naturally, it also attracted the jealousy of many girls present. Originally, they didn't know about Ning Xiuema's background, so they were a little hesitant and uncertain. Now that she finally had the chance, she couldn't help but speak harshly. She couldn't wait to step on her a few more times. Ning Xiuema smiled. These filthy words might be very hurtful to other girls, and they might not be able to accept it. But to her, this baptism of saliva was no different from tickling. Some things were fine as long as he had a clear conscience. Everything else was up to him. Her gaze fell on Ji Yunyao's face, and Ji Yunyao also looked at her with awe-inspiring righteousness, as if she was looking at a piece of trash. This princess's jealousy was really perverted. Nothing had happened between her and that crown prince, but she had already attracted such a vicious revenge. Since she didn't give her face, then why should she give her face? Did she really think that she was afraid of her? Chapter 281. So it's Princess Yinyao. Why didn't the princess think of a way to stay by your brother Crown Prince's side? Why did you come to Tianshu Mountain? Ning Xiuema opened her mouth. Her voice was clear and melodious, but her words were profound and caused people to think. Ji Yunyao was stunned. A thief would always have a guilty conscience, not to mention that she wasn't a very calm person. Ning Xiuema's light words poked at her sensitive spot. Her expression changed and she angrily said, "What nonsense are you talking about? How could I think of a way to stay by brother Crown Prince's side? We're siblings." Didn't I say you're not siblings? Why is Princess Yunyao so anxious? Could it be that you have a guilty conscience? Ning Xiuema blinked. Ji Yunyao's face turned even redder. Bastard! When did I have a guilty conscience? Brother Yinhuang and I are innocent. We're siblings, biological siblings. What's wrong with us being close? There's indeed nothing wrong with biological siblings being close. Ning Xiuema dragged her voice. However, looking at the princess's usual behavior, I thought you were foster siblings. It seems that I misunderstood. However, the princess's behavior really makes people think. Her words had a double meaning, and each sentence had a meaning. Most of the people present were young men and women. People of this age group were always sensitive to emotional gossip. Ning Xiuema's words were like a shot of stimulant, instantly lighting up everyone's gossiping factor. It was unknown how many bright eyes fell on Ji Yunyao. Biological sister and biological brother having an affair? It couldn't be, right? Ji Yunyao clenched her fists tightly. She felt that she had always hidden her thoughts very well. How could she be seen through by this little brat in front of her? Just now, when she splashed dirty water on Ning Xiuema, she felt incomparably happy. Now this basin of water was splashed back on her. Under everyone's subtle gazes, her charming face turned redder and redder, almost turning purple. You slut, you're full of nonsense. What behavior did I do that made people think too much? If you don't say something today, I won't let you go. Ning Xiuema raised her lips and smiled. You still remember Lesusu, right? Ji Yunyao's expression changed again. She naturally remembered Lesusu. Lesusu was once her good friend. She wanted to befriend her, but the purpose of befriending her was not simple. She just wanted to get to know her crown prince brother through her. Every time she talked about her brother, the crown prince, her eyes would light up and she would talk nonstop. This made her extremely unhappy, but she couldn't do anything about it. Later on, this girl even shamelessly confessed her love to her crown prince. However, her crown prince didn't reject her as he did to other girls. He even smiled and sent her away. After chatting with Lesusu for a while, he even sent Lesusu back home for the first time. This made Ji Yunyao go crazy with jealousy. She finally wanted to kill Lesusu. She casually found a reason to throw Lu Susu into the Ministry of Justice's prison and handed her over to Tui Dao. This matter of hers was done in secret. It could be said that no one knew about it. She didn't expect Ning Xiuema to suddenly mention her at this time. In the end, Ji Yunyao had a guilty conscience. Her face was slightly pale. Before she could say anything, a youngster beside her interrupted. Lu Susu? Are you talking about my heavenly star sex flying dragon girl, Lu Susu? Ning Xiuema glanced at the youngster. I don't know her nickname, but I heard that she's the disciple of the heavenly star sex second guardian. Oh, that's right. She's my senior martial sister. Where is she now? Chapter 282. She has already been missing for several days. Do you know where she is? The youth's tone became more and more anxious. Ning Xiuema glanced at Ji Yunyao. I think this Princess Yunyao knows her whereabouts. Don't you think so? Princess Yunyao. Ji Yunyao's face turned pale. She wanted to deny it, but she didn't know what to say. The youth seemed to have sensed that something was wrong and hurriedly said, no matter which of you knows, please tell me. My master has already sent people to look for her for several days. Ning Xiuema lightly said. She was sent to the Ministry of Justice's prison by this princess. She was charged with stealing the princess's things. The youth's face changed. Impossible. My senior sister has always been open and aboveboard. She would never steal other people's things. This must be a false accusation. His gaze was sharp as he looked at Ji Yunyao. Princess Yunyao, is what she said true? Ji Yunyao choked. This, Ning Xiuema said from the side. This matter can't be concealed. The Heavenly Star sect only needs to send people to the Ministry of Justice's prison to investigate, and they will know. Ji Yunyao also knew that she couldn't fool them. She could only harden her heart and say, She entered the palace to steal my jade silk vest. I really did send the Ministry of Justice to investigate this matter. Impossible. The youth's handsome face turned red. My senior sister has her own mermaid silk jade clothes. Isn't it much better than the jade silk vest? How could she steal from you? There must be something fishy about this matter. I will go back to report to my master. Someone will go to the Ministry of Justice to investigate this matter and return my senior sister's innocence. Miss Ning, is my senior sister still in prison? She didn't receive any punishment, right? Ning Xiuema slightly sighed. She is no longer in prison. At that time, the princess handed her over to Tui Dao. The youth's face completely changed. He had heard of Tui Dao's reputation in the Ministry of Justice's prison. That was a living king of hell. His senior sister had actually fallen into his hands? Then, the youth almost didn't dare to think about it. After pausing, he gritted his teeth and said, How does Miss Ning know that my senior sister has fallen into his hands? If she isn't in prison, where is she? In a few words, Ning Xiuema explained that she had been wrongly accused and had also been sent to the Ministry of Justice's prison. Coincidentally, she happened to witness Tui Dao's execution of Lu Susu. Naturally, she also mentioned Lu Susu's final ending. The young man's face was deathly pale. He gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, Princess, what do you have to say? This time, there were quite a few disciples from the Heavenly Star sect, and they were all standing behind the young man. Lu Susu's prestige in the sect was not low. When these people heard that she had fallen into such a miserable state, naturally they were all angry. Countless burning eyes stared at Ji Yunyao, waiting for her to give an explanation. Ji Yunyao wanted to cut Ning Xiuema into pieces. At this time, she could only evade. Don't listen to her nonsense. I only ordered the Ministry of Justice to investigate this case. I don't know what happened after that. You don't know? Ning Xiuema sneered. I personally heard Tui Dao say that the princess personally handed her over to him. He even said that no matter what, she had to confess. That was why Tui Dao was so unscrupulous in torturing her. Why? The princess used to be my senior sister's good friend. Why did she frame her like this? Why did she want to take her life? The youth's eyes were about to spit fire. Because she likes Ji Yin Huang. Ning Xiuema exposed the truth and sneered slightly. The princess doesn't allow any woman to like Crown Prince Yunhuang. When I was sent to prison, it was because Crown Prince Yunhuang treated me slightly better, which made her want to kill me. Chapter 283. Crown Prince Yunhuang only has true sibling affection for her, but her feelings for Crown Prince Yunhuang are nonsense. Nonsense. You're talking nonsense. Ji Yunyao's face turned green and white. She stole my things. The youth clenched his fists. This is a serious matter. Our Heavenly Star sect will thoroughly investigate this matter. We will return my senior sister's innocence and seek justice. Let's go. That youth was clearly the leader of this group of Heavenly Star sect disciples. When he turned around, the other Heavenly Star sect disciples also followed him. The remaining people looked at each other in dismay, and then looked at Ji Yunyao one after another. No matter what era, siblings having an incestuous love would be despised by others. Just now, Ning Xuema and Ji Yunyao's battle of words had made everyone understand the cause of this matter. No one knew whether Ji Yunhuang had that kind of feelings for this sister. But this princess who had always been noble and virtuous indeed had a perverted love for her brother. Ji Yunyao knew that although it was impossible to determine the truth of this matter, her feelings had been mercilessly exposed by Ning Xuema. From today onwards, her reputation would be thoroughly tarnished. Her reputation would be worse than Ning Xuema, this trash. And the rumors would be even worse. What's more, as long as the Heavenly Star sect got involved in this matter, it would inevitably be revealed to the world. At that time, her reputation would be even worse. Those who humiliated others would be humiliated. Ning Xuema coldly looked at her. Bullying her would have to pay the price. She had given this woman a chance, but she was blind and insisted on provoking her. I'll kill you, this slut who is full of nonsense. Ji Yunyao was thoroughly enraged. Her figure rose up and a light green blade flashed in her hand. The wind was like a wave as it swept towards Ning Xuema's waist. She could also be considered a genius. Her psychokinesis cultivation had already reached the 6th level. This move was launched by her with anger, so its power was exceptionally great. Just as she made her move, countless astral winds whistled and flew towards Ning Xuema. Everyone looked at each other and tacitly retreated, making an open space for them to fight. These people also had different thoughts. Some of them were just here to watch the show, while others didn't want to offend the royal princess. Of course, they didn't want to help her either. More importantly, they could take the opportunity to see how good Ning Xuema's kung fu was. He could also figure out how to seize Kiran. No matter which side of the two girls lost, it would be beneficial for them. They were happy to sit back and reap the benefits. Fortunately, Ning Xuema was prepared for it. She didn't panic when she was attacked, and calmly fought back. Ji Yunyao's martial arts skills were indeed not low, and her techniques were also very powerful. Every move she made was full of grace, and her movements were as light as a fairy's. On the other hand, Ning Xuema's psychokinesis was not as good as her, but she had extraordinary inner strength. Moreover, her combat experience was extraordinarily rich. Her movements were clean and neat, strange and changeable, and her moves were often unexpected. When she started to fight with Ji Yunyao, she was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, she was mostly on the defensive. After more than 10 moves, she figured out her opponent's martial arts style and quickly found the flaws in his moves. She sneered in her heart. This Ji Yunyao was extremely vain. When she was fighting, she always paid attention to her posture. Her moves were beautiful, but there were obvious flaws in them. As long as she met a real expert, she would be defeated. Ning Xuema didn't care too much about incestuous love, but this woman had provoked her, so don't blame her for being impolite. As soon as she counterattacked, Ji Yunyao was immediately forced into a fluster, unable to attend to the end. Chapter 284. The onlookers were watching from outside the circle. Ning Xuema's moves were beyond their expectations. This girl's telekinesis was not high. Or rather, she wasn't using telekinesis at all. She was using another mysterious force. She was flying and her movements were as fast as lightning. She didn't have a weapon in her hand, but when she made her moves, The sound of the wind was sharp and ear-piercing. Her movements were so fast that not many people present could clearly see the changes in her movements. They could only see a white shadow with continuous afterimages, circling around Ji Yuniao and circling around her. Everyone was shocked. What kind of martial arts was this girl practicing? They had never seen it before. A good-for-nothing in telekinesis had forced a master of the 6th rank into a corner and put him in danger several times. How was she a good-for-nothing? How could a good-for-nothing have such good martial arts? Also, what kind of footwork was her footwork? Natural and smooth. Unfathomable. At first, the onlookers were only paying attention to the fight between the two. Later, more and more people were looking at Ning Xiuma. Most of the onlookers were martial arts fanatics. Naturally, they were curious to see martial arts that they had never seen before. They were so engrossed in the fight that they even forgot their initial goal. Kiran was standing on the side, watching the white figure in the fight. Its big eyes were filled with pride. That was its master. No matter what difficulties she encountered, she would never back down. She would never suffer losses, and she was cruel to those who insulted her. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It liked it. Seeing that Ji Yuniao was forced to step back, Kiran's blood was boiling. It couldn't help but shout, "Master, come on! Beat this shameless woman to death." As soon as it spoke, everyone was stunned. They knew that pets of the highest rank could communicate with their masters. But they didn't know that this Kiran could speak. No wonder it was a legendary mythical creature. What did it call that girl? Master? It seemed that only pets with blood contracts would call their masters. The others would just call them yes. This little girl had established a blood contract with Kiran? That was impossible. In this world, a written contract would be established when a pet was tamed, written in a special kind of ink. Once the contract was established, the pet would act according to its master's orders, but it would not live and die with its master. If the master unfortunately died, then the pet could establish a contract with someone else. But blood contracts were a legendary existence. Only those whose mental power had reached heaven rank 1 could establish a blood contract with their master. From then on, the master and the pet would live and die together. If the master died, the pet would die. When everyone saw Ning Xiuma riding Kiran for the first time, and saw that Kiran was obedient to her, they thought that they had established a written contract between them, which was why they were trying to obtain it. At first, they only had 2 plans. If Ning Xiuma was sensible enough to give up Kiran and cancel the written contract, they wouldn't kill her. After all, they were from a prestigious family. Killing a little girl and ruining their reputation wasn't worth it. If Ning Xiuma didn't know what was good for her, then they would find a legitimate reason to kill her. That would mean that the contract between her and Kiran would be nullified. Kiran could still establish a contract with the stronger ones among them. But now, it seemed that both of these possibilities were gone. Even if they could kill this little girl, Kiran wouldn't be able to live. Once a blood contract was established, it was close to impossible to cancel it. Unless they were also experts with heaven-rank mental power, and used the same method to cancel the blood contract, it was impossible to do so. Chapter 285. And as far as they know on this continent, there is only one person who has reached the heaven rank. The Overlord. The Overlord actually helped this trash little girl. Is it possible? Some people didn't give up and couldn't help but ask Kiran. Mythological beast Kiran, can you understand human language? What kind of contract did you establish with this little girl? That a written contract doesn't require you to call her master. Kiran rolled its eyes at the man. It can speak human language. How can it not understand human language? Idiot. Shut your beak. How can I, a mythological beast, not understand human language? Let me tell you, I established a blood contract with my master. Do you know what a blood contract is? Ignorant. Everyone. They were shocked. It really is a blood contract. Then what is the relationship between this little girl and the Overlord? Everyone vaguely remembered a legend about Ning Xiuma. It seems that when she was locked in the iron cage and was almost executed, It was the overlord who sent a boy to uphold justice for her. This trash little girl actually received the overlord's favor? Or is it that another heaven-ranked master has appeared on this continent? Everyone thought of the man in red who suddenly appeared. Although they didn't fight with him, they felt an inexplicably strong pressure from him, which made them instantly keep quiet out of fear. Even after being insulted by his words, they didn't dare to act rashly. Mythological beast Kirin, who helped you establish the contract with your master. Someone wanted to take advantage of Kirin's naive and ignorant look, and wanted to dig out the truth from its mouth. Who knew that Kirin rolled its eyes and coolly replied, "Who do you think you are? Why should this mythological beast tell you? No matter who it is, you bunch of common people have no right to know." Everyone. They could only shut up. They were doomed to not get the mythological beast Kirin. If they could get this little girl and recruit her into their sect, wouldn't that be the same as recruiting the mythological beast? But they didn't know if this little girl had a sect or not. So they began to ask Kirin about Ning Xuema's sect. However, Kirin looked ignorant and tight-lipped and didn't answer their questions at all. Wait for Master to deal with that crazy princess. You can go and ask her yourselves. Miss Ning, do you want to join our limitless sect? Our limitless sect can be said to be the third largest sect on the continent. Some people were impatient and started to recruit. When one person spoke, the others naturally did not want to be left behind. The leaders of the various sects all spoke up one after another. Miss Ning, don't listen to his nonsense. The limitless sect is not the third largest sect. Our storm sect is. If you join our wind cloud sect, this protector will make the decision to let you become an inner sect disciple. This is a rare opportunity. You have to seize it. What a joke. How can the Tempest sect be the third major sect? A scholarly-looking person spoke and said proudly, "Our Boundless sect is the third major sect. Lady Ning, you should join our Boundless sect. This elder will personally take you in. Our Limitless sect is the third largest sect. Our Wind Cloud sect is." Who in the pugilistic world doesn't know that our Boundless sect is publicly recognized as the third strongest sect? Aren't you afraid that you'll bite your tongue if you say that? In order to recruit Ning Xuema, these people each pulled the other's leg and showed off their own sect's prestige. They fought for the title of the third largest sect until their faces and ears turned red. In the end, they stretched out their arms and rolled up their sleeves as if they wanted to fight. Chapter 286. Ning Xuema pretended that she didn't hear their argument. She didn't need to think to understand why these people wanted to take her in. It was nothing more than taking a liking to her Kirin. As for her, she was probably just an accessory, a free gift. Ji Yunyao was even angrier. The lowly girl in front of her was obviously a good-for-nothing. She shouldn't even care about dogs, but these sects were actually fighting over her like dogs fighting over a bone. What's more, there was even her own sect's leading senior among them. This made her lose face even more, and the hatred in her heart surged like the waves of the sea. Lowly girl, don't be so smug. They're only fighting over your Kirin. They can't be bothered with a good-for-nothing like you. In the midst of the fight, she couldn't help but mock. Noble princess, I think they're definitely very willing to recruit you. After all, there aren't many people in this world who are infatuated with their own brother. Ning Xuemo replied with a smile. Her ability to insult others was not inferior to others. Ji Yunyao's sore spot was stepped on again and again, and she was simply mad with anger. Her moves were even more ruthless, and she couldn't wait to cut Ning Xuema into pieces with one move. She originally wanted to provoke Ning Xuema into being distracted, but she didn't expect that Ning Xuema would provoke her to be even more irritated. In a fight, the worst thing to do was to have an unstable state of mind. Ji Yunyao's mind wandered for a moment, allowing Ning Xuema to find an opening and directly barge in. With a beautiful empty-handed grab, Ji Yunyao's sword was snatched away by Ning Xuema. She was shocked and hurriedly retreated. Ning Xuema sneered and turned her long sword in a circle, slashing towards her head. Her footwork was like the wind, and Ji Yunyao couldn't dodge at all. Her expression changed and she screamed, "You can't kill me. If you kill me, even Brother Crown Prince won't let you off." Ning Xuema's sword slashed diagonally onto her pretty face. Ji Yunyao's face suddenly hurt, and she thought that her face was split into two. She was so frightened that she screamed again, and her body flew backwards like a hawk. Even if I kill you, he won't do anything to me. Ning Xuema took a step forward and continued to approach her. You have such dirty thoughts about him. He will be ashamed of you. This princess's desire for revenge and jealousy could already be described as perverted. She had to teach this kind of woman a lesson, so that she would be frightened for the rest of her life. Ji Yunyao's mouth was filled with blood. Half of her face was numb and painful. Her entire life had been smooth sailing. Because of her status as a princess, everyone treated her with respect and courtesy. No one had ever really disobeyed her. This had nurtured her arrogant and despotic temperament. If things didn't go as he wished, he would beat and scold others. She had never suffered such a huge loss before. At this moment, seeing Ning Xuema pouncing on her again, obviously unwilling to let her go, she was shocked, angry, and finally scared. This little girl whom she had always looked down on was actually not someone to be trifled with. At this moment, he was like the god of death, closing in step by step. Ji Yunyao, I'll make you regret provoking me. Ji Yunyao was intimidated by her fierce aura and desperately retreated in fear. You can't. You wouldn't dare. Why can't I? Ji Yunyao, I didn't want to lower myself to your level, but you're the one who asked for it. Ning Xuema's figure flashed, and the sword in her palm shot out towards her neck. Ji Yunyao was almost scared out of her wits. She regretted it. She really regretted it. She regretted provoking this little devil. She hurriedly dodged again. Ning Xuema's movements were like lightning, and the sword's light circled around her. Chapter 287. Ning Xuema's movements were as fast as lightning, and the sword's light circled around her. In just a moment, Ji Yunyao's clothes were torn, her skirt was shortened, and her face was slapped by the sword. They were red and hot, and it was unknown if they were disfigured at first. Ji Yunyao was still cursing endlessly, but later on, she could no longer be firm. When Ning Xuema's sword pierced through her ribs, her sleeves were cut in half, and a piece of her flesh was also cut off. She finally began to collapse. Okay, I was wrong you. Now you know that you were wrong? It's too late. Ning Xuema's wrist turned, and the sword's light slanted and rushed towards her left shoulder. Ning Xuema actually did not want to take Ji Yunyao's life. After all, this girl was Ji Yunhuang's biological sister. If she killed her, it would be difficult to explain to Ji Yunhuang. After all, Ji Yunhuang treated her very well, so she had to give him face. However, she also had to teach this princess a lesson. Only this way, this princess would remember it for the rest of her life and not dare to cause trouble again. Stop. Suddenly, a voice came from afar. Following the voice, a faint blue light with a sharp whistling sound rushed towards Ning Xuema's chest. When Ning Xuema heard that shout, her heart skipped a beat. When she saw the blue light in front of her, her expression changed slightly. In her hurry, she did not care about hurting Ji Yunyao anymore. She pulled back her sword to defend herself against the blue light. Bang! With a loud sound, the blue light collided with her treasured sword. Ning Xuema's wrist went numb, and the sword in her hand flew out, flying straight to the sky. Ning Xuema was originally standing on top of a bluestone, but when she was hit by the blue light, her footing became unstable. She stumbled and retreated a few steps before steadying herself. Her ankle was burning with pain. She sprained her ankle. Ning Xuema slowly raised her head and saw a white-clothed man jumping down from a golden-eyed eagle. Brother! Ji Yunyao looked as if she had seen her savior. She cried out in joy and directly threw herself into the white-clothed man's embrace. The white-clothed man was handsome and tall. Among the group of handsome men and beautiful women, he was also incomparably handsome and calm. Ji Yunhuang. It was actually Ji Yunhuang. Brother! This slut bullied me. Woo, I don't want to live anymore. Ji Yunyao tightly hugged his waist, crying like a person. Her face was still red and swollen, and one of her front teeth were also broken. Ji Yunhuang looked at his sister in his embrace. He had never seen his sister in such a sorry state before. His body was covered in spots of blood, and his clothes had been shredded to the point that he looked like he was wearing rags. His skin was exposed in many places. He subconsciously took off his outer robe and wrapped it around Ji Yunyao. He looked at Ning Xiuema, who was standing there, and then looked at Ji Yunyao, who was in his embrace. He furrowed his brows. What exactly happened? Now that Ji Yunyao had someone to rely on, she felt more confident and immediately cried, "Brother, I was looking for her whereabouts for you. It was not easy for me to find her here. When I saw her, I liked her very much. When I saw that she seemed to have some misunderstanding with these people, I told them her identity. Who would have thought that she would fly into a rage out of humiliation? She actually insulted our reputations like a madwoman, saying that we were unbearable. I was so angry that I wanted to teach her a lesson. I wanted to teach her a lesson and let her know when to back off. She actually used underhanded tricks on me. Brother, you have to help me." Her words seemed to be right but were actually wrong. She completely distorted the truth. Ji Yunhuang's gaze fell on Ning Xiuema, and his complexion was not good. "Xiuema, is this true?" Chapter 288. Ning Xiuema's ankle was still burning with pain. Kiran probably saw that something was wrong with her, and hurriedly ran over to let her lean on him. Ning Xiuema flipped onto Kiran's back and glanced at Ji Yunhuang. "You believe what she said?" Ji Yunhuang stiffened and looked at Ning Xiuema with a complicated gaze. "Yunyao has never lied in front of me." Ning Xiuema smiled and tilted her head to look at the two people who were hugging each other. "Since it's like this, why are you still asking me?" "Brother, she thinks that she has a bargaining chip after subduing Kiran, so she doesn't put anyone in her eyes. Just now she said something about you and me. It's very unpleasant to hear. I'm fine with it since I'm just a princess. Brother, you are the crown prince of Chongkong Empire. Your reputation can't be tarnished. You treated her so well, but she actually repaid your kindness with enmity. She's too much." Ji Yunyao raised her tear-stained face and continued to complain. In front of so many people, Ji Yunhuang's handsome face became even more serious. He looked at Ning Xiuema with a cold gaze. Ning Xiuema apologized. He had seen Ning Xiuema's cunning and scheming. She had the temperament of a little fox. She dared to provoke and beat up anyone. She dared to tarnish anyone's reputation. Originally, he was attracted by her temperament, but now he felt that she had gone overboard. It seemed that he had indulged her too much. Ning Xiuema slightly raised her head and looked at Ji Yunhuang for a few seconds. The corner of her lips curled up. "What if I say no?" She had to apologize to this princess? Not a chance. Although her charming face was smiling, her gaze was cold. Ji Yunhuang took a deep breath. I won't apologize to her." Ning Xiuema said word by word. Her voice was cold and crisp. "I only regret that I showed her mercy just now. With her original temperament, how could she allow someone like Ji Yunyao to live? She actually dared to refute him, and he even said such words." Ji Yunhuang looked at his blood-soaked sister in his arms, then looked at Ning Xiuema's proud little face. He slowly clenched his fists. "Ning Xiuema, this prince will say one more thing. Apologize. Apologize to Yunyao. Otherwise this prince. If not, what are you going to do? Don't tell me you're going to hit me for her." Ning Xiuema's heart was burning with anger. She had long heard that Ji Yunhuang doted on his younger sister very much. Every time she got into trouble, as long as he was there, he would stand up for her regardless of who was in the wrong. She was skeptical at first, but now it seemed that it was true. Ji Yunhuang never thought that this little girl would dare to challenge his bottom line in front of so many people. He looked gentle and refined, but he was actually proud and arrogant. Ji Yunyao took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire, causing Ji Yunhuang's anger to soar even higher. This little girl was too undisciplined and out of control. Did she really think that he wouldn't do anything to her? In his anger, he raised his hand. "Ning Xiuema, you really disappoint me." A blue light shot out from his palm and transformed into a large hand in mid-air. It slapped towards Ning Xiuema. Bang! That hand slapped Ning Xiuema's ribs. Ning Xiuema's face paled. Her body swayed on the Qilin's back. A mouthful of blood rushed up to her throat, but she forced herself to swallow it down. A line of blood flowed down from the corner of her mouth. Ji Yunhuang never thought that this palm would actually hit him. He was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but take a step forward. Xiuema. With her inner strength and qinggong, she should be able to dodge this palm. Chapter 289. Master. Kiran anxiously shouted. On the way here, Ning Xiuema had told it about her friendship with the crown prince. It thought that he was Ning Xiuema's friend and would not harm Ning Xiuema. So it was not prepared and did not have time to set up a protective barrier. Now that it saw that Ning Xiuema was injured, it was furious. It seemed that this friend was not trustworthy. What a biased person. It opened its mouth and spat out a ball of water, which instantly turned into an ice ball in the air and smashed towards Ji Yunhuang's face. Master treated you as a friend, but you hurt her. The ice ball was as big as a basketball and brought with it a frightening sound. Even Ji Yunhuang did not dare to face it head-on, and could only swing his sword and knock it against the ice ball. His original intention was to deflect the ice ball away, but he did not expect that the ice ball would explode in an instant and turn into countless small ice balls, which smashed onto his body. Of course, it also smashed onto Ji Yunyao, who was in his embrace. The power of these ice balls was not small, causing Ji Yunyao, who was watching Ning Xiuema, to let out a groan. Ji Yunhuang's cultivation was profound, so these ice balls only caused him some pain, and did not cause any other harm. Hearing Ji Yunyao's discomfort, he subconsciously asked, Yunyao, how are you? Ji Yunyao's eyes were brimming with tears. Brother, my body hurts. When we go back, let the imperial physician take a look at you. And okay, brother, I will listen to you. Ji Yunyao was always very obedient in front of Ji Yunhuang. Actually, Ji Yunhuang had already secretly checked her body, and found out that her injuries were all superficial and nothing serious. Thus he was able to relax. In the end, he was still worried about Ning Xiuema, and hurriedly raised his head to look at her. Ning Xiuema's face was as white as a sheet of paper. It was obvious that she had suffered internal injuries. She pacified the little Qilin, who still wanted to throw another ice ball. She shot a glance at Ji Yunhuang and faintly said, Your Highness the Crown Prince, you once saved my life. Now that I've received your palm, we're even. I do not owe you anything anymore. You better control your little sister well. The next time she insults me, I will not be merciful to her. Little apple, let's go. Kiran immediately snorted coolly and turned around to leave. Ji Yunhuang's heart suddenly sank, as if he had completely lost something. He panicked and hurriedly said, Xiuema, wait. He subconsciously wanted to chase after her, but Ji Yunyao called out softly, Brother, I feel terrible. While Ji Yunhuang was in a daze, Kiran had already carried Ning Xiuema far away. Everyone knew that it was useless to stop her at this time. They looked at each other and dispersed. As for how to recruit this little girl, each of them had their own ideas. Big brother, let's go too. Don't pay any more attention to that slut who doesn't know what's good for her. It was rare for Ji Yunyao to be able to lie in her brother's arms. She simply didn't want to get up. She subconsciously hugged his neck like a little bird. Ji Yunhuang's body stiffened, and he lowered his eyes to look at her. Yunyao, I've always doted on you and you've always been sensible in front of me. Don't lie to me. Ji Yunyao's heart jumped. Yunyao definitely won't lie to big brother. Very good, remember what you said. Ji Yunhuang raised his hand to summon Ji Yunyao's red-crowned crane, and placed her on it. Go back to the city first. Ji Yunyao panicked and hurriedly hugged his neck. Big brother, I'm injured. I want you to take me with you. Big brother still has things to do. Be good. The injuries on your body are only superficial. Let the imperial physician treat it for you and you'll be fine. Go back first. He wanted to pull her hands away. Chapter 290. Ji Yunyao was so angry that she hugged him even tighter. Brother, you went to look for that slut again? She already treated you like that. Shut up. Ji Yunhuang's face darkened. You're not allowed to talk about her like that. In the future, she will be your royal sister-in-law. It was earth-shattering. Ji Yunyao's face changed greatly. She couldn't help but shout in anger. Royal sister-in-law? Brother, you're crazy. How is she worthy? She's a trash of psychokinesis and even has an affair with a man. With such a bad reputation, even if she warms your bed, she's still not worthy. Shut up. Ji Yunhuang's face darkened and a storm was brewing. Ji Yunyao, have you always thought of her like that? Then just now. It was rare for him to speak so harshly to Ji Yunyao. Ji Yunyao became even angrier. Blood rushed to her head, and she became dizzy. She shouted, she's already worse than a slut. Didn't you see her body just now? She was clearly wearing men's clothes and her legs were bare, just like a seductive slut. Pa! Ji Yunyao's face received a heavy slap. Ji Yunyao, no wonder she treated you like that just now. You're a princess, how can you speak so viciously? Ji Yunhuang was so angry that his hands were trembling. He never knew that his sister was so unreasonable. Did he really wrongly accuse Xiuema just now? Although that girl had always been as cunning as a little fox, she still had a bottom line. If you didn't really provoke her, she would still be kind to others, and even have a code of brotherhood. She was ruthless to Ji Yunyao, so she must have provoked her too much. Thinking about Ning Xiuema's cold gaze and resolute words when she left, his heart suddenly ached. Was he wrong? This was not the result he wanted. He clearly came to look for her. Ji Yunyao caressed her face in disbelief. Her eyes were wide open. You hit me? Brother, you actually hit me because of that slut? Ji Yunhuang tore off his clothes that she had been holding onto and took a step back. He coldly said, Yunyao, you're not allowed to interfere in my matters. Also, even though we're siblings, there's still a difference between men and women. In the future, don't go to the crown prince's residence. If there's nothing important, don't see me. He turned around and jumped onto the large eagle that he had ridden here, leaving like a whirlwind. He was going to look for Ning Xiuema and tell her that he had been very worried ever since he found out about her disappearance. He had been searching for her day and night. Ji Yunyao was simply dumbfounded. She clutched the red-crowned crane's feathers tightly. The hatred in her eyes surged like a tidal wave. Ning Xiuema. Ning Xiuema. Sooner or later, I'll make you wish you were dead. The eagle that Ji Yunhuang was riding was naturally very fast. He thought that with his speed, he would be able to catch up with Ning Xiuema in less than a quarter of an hour and explain everything to her. However, he didn't expect that even after chasing in that direction for an hour, he still didn't see Ning Xiuema. Kiran shouldn't be that fast, right? The eagle's eyes were sharp, and the large eagle he was riding on was one of the best. As it flew in the air, even a rabbit running across the ground within a radius of tens of miles would not be able to escape its eyes. In order to find Ning Xiuema, he purposely let the large eagle fly lower and lower, almost brushing against the treetops. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have missed Ning Xiuema and Kiran, unless she didn't take this path down the mountain. However, there was only one path up the mountain. If she didn't take this path, where else would she go? Chapter 291. Ning Xiuema's figure flashed through his mind. Naturally, he also thought of the Kiran. His heart suddenly skipped a beat. Suddenly, he hit his own head hard. Damn it. He had actually overlooked the most important issue. He had accompanied the ancestor in the palace for 4 whole days. He had not taken a single step out of the frozen palace. Every day, other than occasionally answering the ancestor's questions, he would just sit there and meditate. Naturally, he was also worried about Ning Xiuema who had left earlier. However, following the ancestor was a rule. If the ancestor did not leave, he would not be able to leave. The ancestor was also strange. Every day, other than occasionally talking to him, he would also spend most of his time meditating. He sat there like an ice sculpture. He did not see anyone else, nor did he go out to meet the emperor and civil and military officials who were paying their respects every day. He really did not know why the ancestor had stayed here for these few days. Don't try to guess the ancestors' intentions because even a deity would not be able to guess it. Therefore, although Ji Yunhuang was a little puzzled, he was too lazy to try to figure out the ancestors' intentions. The ancestor had said that he would stay in the palace for 3 days, but for some reason he stayed for an extra day, causing Ji Yunhuang to accompany him for an extra day. Fortunately, accompanying the ancestor was very beneficial. For example, he would give Ji Yunhuang a date to eat every day. That date was obviously not an ordinary one. It could greatly replenish the vitality in the body. Not only would he not be hungry, but it would also increase his resistance to the cold. Although he had been staying in the frozen palace, he would not feel cold. His psychokinesis had also increased. These 4 days by the ancestor's side was equivalent to half a year of his own cultivation. 4 days later, the ancestor finally left. It was only after Ji Yunhuang left the palace that he found out that Ning Xuema had been betrothed by the emperor, and that she had been kidnapped. He was very strict with his subordinates. There were all kinds of talents in the Crown Prince's residence. During these 4 days, the aides in the Crown Prince's residence knew that he had a special impression of Ning Xuema. Therefore, they had already started investigating this matter. Therefore, not long after Ji Yunhuang left, he found out that Ning Xuema was not kidnapped. She was just trying to escape from the marriage. When he found out about all this, he was both happy and surprised. He was shocked that this girl was so bold that she dared to run away from the emperor's wedding. What made him happy was that she could even refuse the emperor's great favor of making her a concubine. It could be seen that she was not the kind of woman who chased after fame and fortune. He had not misjudged her at the beginning. Moreover, the little girl was smart enough to come up with such a plan that even his imperial father was unable to do anything about it. When he entered the palace and saw his father's sullen face, he was secretly pleased, of course. His men had also investigated and found out that after Ning Xuema had escaped from the city, she had entered the Heavenly Book Mountain with number 2 by her side. What worried him the most was that the Crown Prince's residence had once sent experts into Heavenly Book Mountain to secretly protect that girl. However, they had not expected that after searching the entire 3 peaks, they would not be able to find them. It had been 4 days, and the girl seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No one had seen her again. Some people even suspected that she had met with misfortune in the mountains. Ji Yunhuang's heart was also burning with anxiety. He sent out all the elites from the Crown Prince's residence to search the mountains. He himself had also carefully searched the peaks one by one. However, he did not expect that when he searched the 3rd peak, the giant eagle he was riding on had sensed Ji Yunyao's existence and screamed. Chapter 292. He thought that she had encountered some ferocious beast, so he hurried over, but what he saw was Ning Xuema attacking Ji Yunyao. When he saw that Ning Xuema was fine, his joy was diluted by shock and anger. Protecting this sister of his had already become a habit in his bones. Perhaps he saw Ning Xuema as his future wife, so he unconsciously raised his expectations of her. Seeing her like this, he actually felt disappointed and angry, so he wanted her to be more sensible. But he didn't expect that one slap from him would break the friendship that he had built with great difficulty. When she coldly called him Crown Prince, his usually calm heart actually felt as if a cat was scratching it. It was as if something was completely destroyed by his slap, and could never be found again at that time. The situation was too chaotic, plus Ji Yunyao was crying and throwing a tantrum in his arms, which made his heart uneasy. He actually didn't think of why so many people were surrounding Ning Xuema. Now that he suddenly thought of that little Qilin, it was as if he was suddenly enlightened and came to a realization. The Kirin beast, one of the 5 mythical beasts, had never appeared in Tianxi continent for thousands of years. It was rumored that the one who had the Kirin would win the world. No matter if it was the big sects or the monarchs of the various countries, once they knew of the existence of the Kirin beast, they would definitely think of ways to snatch it. And Ning Xuema didn't know what kind of freak combination of factors, but she actually obtained the Kirin beast. As the saying goes, an ordinary man is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. Those people who surrounded Ning Xuema were definitely after the Kirin beast. Although Ning Xuema's medical skills were high, Her psychokinesis was not that good. If she wanted to escape, she would definitely use a trick. Although he didn't know what kind of trick Ning Xiuema used, he knew that at this time, she definitely couldn't reveal her identity. Yet at this time, his younger sister exposed her identity and even spoke rudely. It was obvious that she harbored evil intentions. It was no wonder that Ning Xiuema didn't give him any face and mercilessly killed Ji Yunyao. That's not right, he checked Ji Yunyao's injuries. Although she looked to be in a sorry state, they were all superficial wounds and wouldn't be fatal. It seemed that Ning Xiuema had a sense of propriety when she made her move. She still cared about his reputation. She had taken care of his reputation, but he had seriously injured her in front of so many people. Recalling Ning Xiuema's pale face at that time, Ji Yunhuang felt like stabbing himself with a knife. He rode the eagle back and forth several times, but still couldn't find Ning Xiuema's whereabouts. Instead, he saw several groups of people who had besieged Ning Xiuema. He eavesdropped on the conversations of several groups of people. From their conversations, he roughly understood what had happened to Ning Xiuema at that time. The regret in his heart grew heavier. Of course, he had also heard the gossip about him and Ji Yunyao. While he was angry, he was also shocked. Although he and Ning Xiuema hadn't known each other for a long time, he still had some understanding of her temper. He knew that she wasn't the kind of person who liked to make up nonsense. She also wouldn't randomly make up this story just because Ji Yunyao had exposed her identity and insulted her. She must have really seen through something. Could it be that Yunyao really harbored such unbearable feelings for him? Was Lisusu really harmed because of this? There were also other girls. It seemed that the girls who had confessed to him had all disappeared without a trace. He had never seen them again. He had never paid attention to the confessions and adoration of those girls, so even though he hadn't seen them again, he didn't take it to heart and didn't even think about it. Now that he thought about it, he broke out in cold sweat. Chapter 293. Were those other girls also secretly harmed like Lisusu? He took a deep breath. Now was not the time to think about these trivial matters. Finding Ning Xiuema was more important. She was a lonely girl who was heavily injured. She also had the coveted Qilin beast by her side. She was simply like a child carrying a big bag of jewelry on the street. Her situation was not ordinary. He had to find her as soon as possible and bring her under his protection. Ning Xiuema's figure appeared in his mind again. She was indeed wearing a man's robe. When he made his move, he also saw her exposed calf when the robe fluttered in the wind. His heart felt like it was blocked by a lump of iron, and he felt indescribably uncomfortable. What did she experience in the past 4 days? What about number 2? Who gave her the robe? Who made the blood contract between her and Kirin? Could it be the person who gave her the robe? Countless questions revolved in his mind. He naturally did not believe that the ancestor was behind this. The ancestor was in the palace these past few days. He personally accompanied him for a few days. Could it be that he was lying? It could not be that the ancestor could clone himself, right? This was absolutely impossible. Then who could that person be? He forced himself to suppress the rolling questions in his mind. He raised his hand and sent out a signal to gather his subordinates. In a dense forest at the bottom of a hill, Kirin, with a head full of green grass, raised his head and looked at Ji Yunhuang's eagle flying past. He then turned his head to look at Ning Xiuema, who was also wearing a green grass robe, and had a head full of green twigs. Master, is he looking for you? Could it be that this bastard wants to beat you a few more times to avenge his shrew sister? Ning Xiuema gently spat out the grass in her mouth and answered casually. Don't worry about him. We will go our own way later. Kirin shook the camouflage on his body and sincerely admired it. Master was a smart master. She said that there would be people following her, so after escaping, she immediately made camouflage for herself and Kirin. She put the grass and twigs on her body, and actually made it look like a bundle of grass. No matter where she squatted, she blended in with the surrounding grass. Several groups of people had already gone over, but no one had discovered her whereabouts. Master, from whom did you learn this disguise technique? Ning Xiuema faintly smiled but did not speak. This was the Special Forces jungle camouflage technique. It had been scientifically verified and was naturally very advanced. Those who were searching for her would not be able to find her, nor would they be able to find her. Apparently, those people did not expect her to be in disguise. They were too busy searching for her in white and the blue Kirin to notice the green grass. Ning Xuema took another light breath. She had already taken a pill to treat her internal injuries, but the blood in her chest was still surging violently. It was obvious that her internal injuries were not light. She lowered her eyes. She had overestimated her own strength and underestimated the strength of Ji Yunhuang's palm. He probably didn't show any mercy when he attacked just now. This was good too. She had paid off all her debts to him. She let Kirin be her protector while she sat in the grass and meditated for a while. Initially, she wanted to use her internal energy to heal her injuries, but she suddenly remembered the breathing method that Jiuzun had taught her. Now that she had a little bit of psychokinesis in her body, perhaps she could try using this method to heal her injuries. She immediately put it into action, her psychokinesis circulating within her body. After a while, she only felt a warm itch around her injuries, and the pain gradually subsided. It really worked. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.